baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take that chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, boo. See, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor, and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet, and I need some seconds. You say you had promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be alive, I say I did it. That shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take that chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see you swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready, you know the mission. I had to know you, I'm tempted. I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me, I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my play ways because you pop in. A shooter always shoot a shot. With you by my side, I guarantee we'll reach the top. I put that on God and then I'll give you all that I got. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take that chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me. Lennard Ray.
That's
Come
your
on.
name.
Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take that chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true, baby.
Oh my goodness, I'm over here reflecting. Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here with you on the TSWS Gaming channel on YouTube. And today, my guest, dope gentleman, very nice and friendly person across the internet. I've seen him on so many different podcasts saying what's up, shouting people out. I've seen people talk to him, talk about him, you know, as a phenomenal dude in person as well. Shout out to Lemon. Lemon really gave me the 411 about like how you are, like, you know, in person and whatnot. And he was like, man, Hargeet's a dope dude. He's a really nice guy. And he is saying that about what's his name as well, Colt Eastwood as well. He's like, yeah, I met both of those guys over at a great over at a game convention, and Man, those are some really good dudes, man. And I was just like, yo, if Lemon's saying you're a good dude, you must be a good dude because you know he ain't gonna lie.
No,
you
it's
know
not. Yeah.
he is not gonna
Yeah.
lie. But what's up, brother Hargeet? Thank you so much for pulling up on the podcast behind them sticks with your boy Ham Solo today. Thank you so much for gracing me with your presence.
Oh, wow. I mean, thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Well, anyways, what's been going on, brother? How you been doing? Let everybody know what's happening with you, what's going on, where you been and where you going. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, so got another day tomorrow, and then I'll be out on vacation for about 6 weeks. So Thanksgiving week all the way through New Year's, and I'll just be playing a whole bunch of games. So
Mm.
that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, outside of that, kind of a busy week at work, just kind of wrapping things up, and then I have been playing a few games like Vampire Survivors, which is kind of an addiction. Like it just keeps going. You just keep playing it and playing it. Um, and then I still have Gotham Knights to go through, Plague Tale, which I started up, and some Halo. So
Plague
yeah,
Tale, man. So how far are you in the Plague Tale so far?
chapter 2 or 3. I think it's just two. I think I'm on chapter
Oh,
2.
oh,
Yeah,
you got a long ways to go. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, you do. That game is
yeah.
fantastic, man.
Yeah. You like it so far?
One of the best stories, if not like depending, as I'm pretty close to the end of God of War right now, and it's still a toss up for me on which one's the best story. And like I am very far into God of War. I beat Plague's Tale, and the only thing I'm going to tell you to do, just to be just so you're ready for it and you don't forget, and anybody watching this as well, hello Master Clowns, I see you in the chat, and whoever else is out there watching, I appreciate y'all. But yo, once you beat Plague's Tale, when the credits roll, there's two scenes. Watch the whole credits.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna
Okay.
say. Just watch the whole credits. Not gonna spoil nothing for you. Just make sure you do that, because my buddy watched scene one of them. Then I was like, bro, did you see the second one? He's like, there's a second one. And I was like, man, I better start warning people. I better start
Cool.
warning people. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good
Yeah,
to know.
yeah. Keep an eye out. That game is fantastic. The
Yeah.
ending is nuts. But yeah, I'm gonna stop right there so I don't spoil nothing for you at all. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, brother. Thanks for coming out here. I'm happy to hear that you're going to be having some time off so you can just kind of chill, kick back,
Yep.
game, do what you do and whatnot. But yeah, let's get going on the show this evening. First of all, I gotta ask because I'm curious. I don't always ask this question, but sometimes I'm just curious, so I do. But what made you be down to come through on the show, brother? Thank you so much.
I don't know, just anybody asks, I try to, go on. Why not? Let's try it out, right? So, it's just the way it is. Like, so you asked, I'm like, sure, why not?
Dope. All right, man. That's an open person. It's good that it's good that you're not trying to hide or do anything. I mean, I really appreciate you making time to come on to
Yeah.
here. But yeah, as for as for the next question, I'd more or less like to know, like, what gaming and social media platforms are you on? Because brother, I looked you up on Twitter. I was like, this dude, I don't think he has a Twitter.
I know it's
I don't think he
I'm
has
not on
one.
Twitter.
And I was just like, man, I don't know how the heck to get. And then you hit me up randomly, I think, on Discord, and I was just like, yo, how? Like, how do I mean, other than that, like, do you do any other social medias at all? I mean, I see that you have like
No,
YouTube, but like you
that's
just
it.
have like a couple
Well,
things
and
on
LinkedIn,
there.
right? But like LinkedIn, everybody, professionally, you just have it, right?
Mm.
But that's it. So yeah, I just never liked social media. I had a Facebook account for a while, and I would look at it once every year and a half or 2 years,
Oh
and like
damn.
people had these expectations that I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm not. So you know what? I'm gonna close this account because I don't care about any of this. So I have none of them. But yeah, on Xbox, I'm there. H Chani is my gamer tag, so people can check me out there, and certainly on YouTube, part of Game On Daily, and then also I have my own channel, and yeah, so you can check those out as well.
Fantastic, yeah. Because I was wondering, I was like, where the hell is this guy? This guy is in
Yeah,
camo. Like he's always there, but I can never see him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, but that's cool. That works out. I mean, not social media isn't for everybody. It's probably more healthy that way that you have it like that.
Yep.
Um, and it probably gives you a lot more peace. You you
I
you
hear
you
all
you
the
you
horror
don't wake up
stories,
to your phone going nuts, and you're like, oh, what the hell's going on,
all the
Twitter?
rage-inducing tweets. Like whatever.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that you found me after me typing into. I'm thinking it was like a chat or something like that. It was like a live
I
chat. I
think
was just
you
like,
like commented
"How
on
do
one of
I
my
find
videos
you?"
or something like that. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, it was on your own video.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Bro, where are you?" I've been trying to get you scheduled, but I can't find you. But
And
anyways,
here we are.
yeah, here we are though. So what I always like to do, and I'm sure if you've seen any of the other episodes at all, I mean, I like to see what people's backgrounds were like, see
Yeah.
how you got into gaming, um, what it's kind of transformed you into, and where do you see gaming going forward and whatnot. I see you, Farq, in the chat. What's up, brother? Oh man, you be careful with your second account there, buddy. Yeah, but anyways, Farky is dope. Funny dude pulled up on a red panda and gave her the smoke, and it was fantastic. But so I want to know, what was Hargeet's first console? Because I imagine that, I mean, you went through them like pages in a book,
Yeah,
right?
so the first one that I got was the 2600, the Atari 2600. The
What
first one
the
I played
Atari?
on, I want to say it was the ColecoVision. It was at a friend's house. Um, but yeah, I like go way, 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 way back, right? And like my first, I don't know if you'd call it a console, but we used to actually have like a little game in a little mini console. And so it had, I think it was Tron in a little game console thingy, and it just basically had the gamepad and a little, I don't know, maybe like 3-inch screen, and the game just played right there. And so you could just play, that way. So that
Like
was
a
the first one I
little
had.
arcade, like a little like
Yeah, it's like a
portable
little
arcade thing?
mini arcade thing, and it was a joy, the joypad basically, like whatever the control sticks and whatnot, and then you have the game right there. And then I got the 2600, and then shortly after I got the NES, and then from there, a whole bunch of other ones, but so
Man,
yeah,
so
so
so I gotta know, like, for the 2600, if you can remember, what were a couple games on there that you played that you thought at the time were dope?
yeah, I mean, like the games we played a lot were things like Asteroids, right? And then you had is it I think it's Track and Field was the one that had all the different games where you basically you had to like shake the joystick back and forth to run and stuff like that. It
Oh
was
my
very
goodness.
different back then. Um and yeah, and that was kind of the those was Pac-Man I think it was on there, right? I think the 2600 had Pac-Man. But anyway, so those are the kind of games you had like back then, right? So and they were all like little dots. It wasn't like there was massive graphics and stuff like that. The NES kind of changed that. It was way, way higher,
That's what
fidelity.
I'm starting to get
And
the feeling that the NES, or what did you say, the NES, right?
yeah, the Nintendo Entertainment, yeah, the
Yeah,
first one, the
yeah, I was
NES.
gonna say I'm having a feeling that one actually kind of blew your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, getting the I got the one with the Zap gun, so I had the Duck Hunt Mario cartridge, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I mean, that Mario game was so crazy. Like now it looks like nothing, right? But back then, it just was like when compared to like a 2600, what you could do with that game was just so nuts. And the even the Duck Hunt was kind of fun, just simple ability to like it was just like flashing a big box whenever you hit the zap gun, and so it would pick up where that box is on the TV. That's how it used to work. But it was hey, it was a fun little gadget. Um, but yeah, what they did with that, then Zelda came out. Oh my god, dude. what a game. Like, and then Zelda 2 came out, and like there were so many games, Blades of Steel and Double Dribble, and like all sorts of fun games. So
Double
that, yeah, like
Dribble. I love that
lots of fun
game.
on Nintendo. But the Mario's, Mario 1, 2, I loved Super Mario Brothers 2. And then 3 came out. They're all so good. And those games have still like kept their quality. It's crazy. Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, top tier games, gaudy nominees, right? And Breath of the Wild won it, right? I don't know how they do it, but they just keep making those killer games, man. It's the same like games, but they somehow reinvent, and they just keep coming out with good stuff.
Yeah, they reinvent, and they sometimes they don't even go. I mean, obviously not sometimes, but a lot of the time they don't go super duper far technologically to produce that stuff. Like Mario looks the same that he looked like
Yeah,
forever, it
lately, right?
seems like.
When it came like for the first generation of it, that was a massive technological leap, right, compared to what you had
Right.
before. With the SNES, with the Super Nintendo, it seemed like another good generational leap. It was pretty good, and I think they still did even more with the N64 going into 3D. And then came the PlayStation, and that kind of destroyed everything. So, I look at PlayStation very differently than most people. I find them kind of came in and kind of disrupted everybody else and kind of killed them, right?
Well,
And
they
so
sure
what
did
what
because
used to
now
happen,
now they're
all
more or
gone, right?
less.
So
Now it seems like Nintendo's more or less worried about how you play instead of,
yeah, because
coming
they
out
couldn't
with
compete
this
with
new
Sony,
stuff.
right? I mean, so they tried. They like, Nintendo was the big dog, right? And Sony came in and said, "Hey, we got more money than you. We're gonna go get all the games that you think you're getting," and they got all the games. And then Nintendo's like, "Well, we can't make a console at a loss and make money now." Okay, well that's a new thing. So they had to kind of contend with it. It's just the way it is, right? They tried with the GameCube; it was more powerful than PS2, but they just couldn't get the third party attached. And so they said, "All right, enough of that. We're gonna like make a console that makes money off the bat. That's not gonna have high power. We don't care. We're gonna go a different direction, right?" But their own games are so good that it sells. It just does, right? And so they seem to be able to sustain that, but they're not competing with Sony and Microsoft. So, but it's a whole other story, right? And that's disappointing in some ways, but it's also cool. But to your point, we onwards, they are not moving the technological needle to make Mario and Zelda look better and better and better, right? But hey, we'll see what happens.
I found it funny that you're like, PlayStation came in and spent all this money and said, you're not going to do that
Literally what they
anymore.
did.
And
And they didn't even hide it.
because,
They literally told us this. There are
yeah,
videos of them saying it.
yeah.
They said exactly that. They went to 250 developers and publishers and said, "We want your games." And they just gave them money and they just took the games. And so like there was like what half a dozen more consoles at the time. They're all gone. Everybody died. Nintendo somehow maintained because they had the Game Boy and DS. And then they were able to come back with the Wii. Otherwise they would have folded too. Right? They pretty much like Sony came in and wiped everybody out.
I
Crazy.
love it when somebody comes onto this podcast or another one that I have and say that exact thing that you just said because it's just the facts, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like that's how they got into the business is
Yeah,
doing
and I don't begrudge them
what
that,
they
by the
did.
way. That's what they should do. They had the money. Hey, that's business. I get
And it
it,
was a
but
brilliant move and it worked and it and
it
it and
worked.
it
Yeah,
and they flourished because of it. So
absolutely.
hey,
Until a bigger
Sony,
fish
let's
said,
not
"Well, what are they
stifle
doing?"
somebody else from doing what you did just because you're now in the position of what Nintendo was. You
Yep.
know,
Karma.
yeah, it's exactly because Nintendo looked at him and said, "You know what, motherfucker, that shit's gonna come back around on you." And Sony was just like, "We ain't sweating it." Then Xbox came and they had more money, and now they're like, I really don't like this
Hilarious.
position."
Yep.
So
Yep.
you've been doing it to platforms for years. Why you don't like it now that it's done to you? It's really
Exactly.
interesting stuff.
Yeah, it
But
is.
anyways, so yeah, the NES, SNES, super duper dope. Nintendo, yeah, they definitely are more worried about how you're playing instead of bringing you a ton of new things.
Yep.
They really doubled down on, and it kind of, I mean, sounds funny to me again because it's the same stuff PlayStation just got done saying about the beginning of this generation. We're going to double down on the IPs that we have.
Yep.
That's very much sounding like Nintendo.
Yep. Yep. Hey, I
So
mean, you have to entrench yourself. They have fantastic studios and games. They have that already, right? So
facts.
take advantage. Do what you got. Take advantage of what you have. And getting Bungie, that's a fantastic move, right? So, hey, more power to them, right? Why not compete?
And I can't wait to see what Bungie comes out under their umbrella.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Well, and plus, how PlayStation is going to market a lot market a lot of that. They're going to market it the way that they don't want Xbox to market Call of Duty.
Yep.
It's going to be available on multiple platforms. I'm thinking more or less PC and PlayStation, and then maybe if there's comes to be some deal between um, something that we own and they own, maybe we might get something to share. But the further that this Activision Blizzard deal goes, the less that I believe that that's going to be a possibility going forward because they're just so entrenched with this situation right now that it only seems like this is going like we felt like maybe PlayStation and Xbox was starting to kind of get along a little bit, and then now this happened, and yeah, now the gloves are off, and it's kind of weird. It's an
Yeah.
awkward situation.
It's awkward from one side, right? Nintendo and Microsoft are still happy, and they're still fine.
Oh,
It's
Nintendo's eating popcorn.
yeah, they're like, oh, we have absolutely no problem with this deal.
Right? Yeah, right. Like, oh, I told you it's gonna come back around, bro. All right, so
So I then got the Super Nintendo, and then I got the TurboGrafx 16, which was pretty cool. And again, this was because we had so many options. It was so good at the time, right? You could get so much different stuff. A friend of mine had the Sega, and I think he got the Genesis afterwards. So Sega Master System, and then the Genesis. So we would just like play on each other's. We would just go to each other's house and play. And so I was able to play on the Sega side, and I got the GG16. I didn't get the Neo Geo because it was way too expensive. Didn't have any interest in 3DO. What else was out there? Atari had the Jaguar. Again, it just didn't really push anything for me. Amiga, I did play a little bit on Commodore 64, mostly because our schools had it. And so I would play there. A little bit on Mac, because we had one available, so we tried that, and a lot on PC. So one of the things that happened is my dad, he's a building architect, a normal architect, but for some reason he got in collaboration with a couple of software guys, and they opened some company that never did anything, but they bought a PC. So they had this XT compatible PC in our family room there, and I'm like, you guys are doing nothing with this. Can I play with it? And so like, yeah, go ahead. So I started playing
free
around, learning
computer.
DOS, right? And yeah, exactly. So I started learning DOS and started playing around so that I could do what? Play video games. So so basically I taught myself how to use a PC, how to play with it, like open it up and put things in and upgrade it, create new ones. Install, eventually get to Windows, do all that, fun stuff. I don't know if you've ever done any of this stuff back then, but you have to actually manage memory yourself, right? With expanded memory managers and all that junk. But anyway, so all that actually turned into a career. So I I learned so much about computers that I was able to make that my job. So I currently am in IT with I do enterprise architecture, but that all came about because I wanted to play video games on a computer. So
That's hilarious. That's a
so
wonderful way to get into a career.
right. So, but anyway, so yeah, so like I was playing on PC at the time. There was a lot of games from companies like Lucas and Sierra. There was
Sierra was fantastic.
yeah, like Microprose, I think was the company that made all the like flight games. And then there was Flight Simulator from Microsoft. Stuff like that. It was a whole bunch of those kind of games.
Oh my
And then
god,
eventually,
how not see, everyone wants to say how they loved Flight Simulator back in the day. Sure, you might have, but you also probably remember, maybe you don't remember, how glitchy that game was.
yeah.
How hard it ran your PC when you played that game. Like, that game was like something. Trying to land in that game was something else, bro.
Not much has
Um,
changed. It still kicks your PC's butt.
oh
Like,
yeah,
it
it
was
still
pretty
does, yeah.
nuts.
It
So,
really
but yeah,
does, but it
yeah,
looks more like immersive than
yeah.
ever
It's
before.
immaculate. It's
It
unbelievable.
I mean, it's crazy compared to like the like the remember the water back in the day just in that
Yeah,
game, just it looked like everything just looked rough. I mean, we thought it was beautiful. I remember going to Mount Fuji, I don't know how many times, and flying my plane around there and
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
dive bomb into the volcano and stuff like that. Like, it was something.
yeah. Yep,
Fantastic
yep.
time, but I don't miss the way those looked.
Yep,
Not
yep.
even slightly.
So after the TG16, I got the Nintendo 64,
Mm.
and then I was gonna get the GameCube, so I got the GameCube. I did not get the PS1. I didn't
What?
get the PS2 immediately. Never had the PS1. And then I had, like, that the documentary they just did on the 20th anniversary of Xbox,
Yeah.
and how they're like, I don't know. People are gonna say, "Why the heck are we even doing this?" That was me. I'm like, "What? What? You're the Windows team. Shut up. Why are you making a console? What is going on here? Go away. I don't understand why you're doing this. I literally had zero interest in them at all. But whatever. But I would go in, like, every at the end of the week. On Friday, I would just go into town and check out what games or movies are out, so I could do something over the weekend, right? And I went in that the week that it came out, and they just happened to have an Xbox sitting there, and I'm like, fine, I'll just buy it. Whatever. So I picked up the Xbox, added an extra controller, got some games that I thought were going to be good, like Project Gotham Racing. I think, did they have like Condemned? I think something like that, and there's a couple of other games. And then they had I want to say like 3 stacks of this game Halo that I had never heard of. And I looked at the thing and I'm like, this is garbage. I literally, that's how, this is garbage. But it looks like they want me to play this game because it looks like they have stacks and stacks of it. So they must want me to buy this. Fine, I will pick it up, try it for 10 minutes, throw it away. So that's how I went into it.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt very similar to you when
That's
I
how I
seen
went into it.
Halo. I
Yeah.
was just like, you know what? That's
What is
it's
this trash?
cool, but
Right.
I mean, that's cool, but like I don't
Yeah.
see what the hype is about it.
Yeah,
I don't
literally,
see
right?
it.
So I take that home, hook it up. I want to get the crap out of the way. So I put in Halo first, and I play it, and I'm like,
Oops.
damn it, this sucks. Oh wait, you can invert the controls. Okay, cool. Now I can play it. All right,
My man,
cool.
he plays
Right,
inverted.
right. So and I'm like, this is actually pretty good though. This isn't bad. And then I land, and you see the Halo, and I'm like, pause. I call up my buddy. I'm like, dude, I got this Xbox. There's this game Halo. You need to come over now and play this game. That was Friday night. We didn't stop playing till Sunday morning. We did
Let's
not sleep.
go.
We just kept playing Halo all the way to Sunday. And we're like, dude, it's Sunday. We got to go to work tomorrow. We better get some sleep. So, yeah, Halo was crazy. So then that just kind of changed the game, right? The Halo was one of those things that it just was one of those game-changing moments, right? So everybody had to get an Xbox. We all had to start playing Halo. And then, the live came on and you could play online. And I'm like, oh, dude, Halo 2. Oh, man. What a series, right? And like all the things they're talking about, all the things that they added in, the music and all that stuff. Crazy, right? Xbox Media Center, right? That whole thing that came out of it, right? So,
That
what is
thing
that
was
called now? It's
insane.
still around. It's just called something else now. But anyways, yeah, the whole thing that you could run all your movie stuff on there. It was a DVD player and all that. It was fantastic. But
It was a nutty piece of hardware. Like, it just
yeah,
did
yeah,
so much, and like I used it just getting ready for school, blasting the music. It had all my music on it.
yeah,
Like I'm not gonna lie, Xbox was like the first console to just like make me like people were talking about, not buying their games. so much, or like, not buying physical, I guess is what I'm talking about. Xbox is the first console to get me like to stop doing so much physical stuff. Like the most I did with my physical stuff was put it in the Xbox, have it rip it, and then I literally would lose the CD.
Yeah.
Don't know where it'd go, and I didn't care
Yeah.
because Xbox was
Yeah.
my like central hub of my apartment, my room when I was living at my mom's. Like it was the
That was
centralized
cool.
hub. And then when the
Uh,
360 came out, it was even wilder.
Yep. The 360 was awesome. At the end of the PS2 gen, I did pick up a PS2 because there were enough like exclusives that I'm like, cool, I'll try this out. And it was okay. I've never liked their controllers, but I played through those games and it never wowed me. But I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then the 360 came out. I got that. PS3, I did that for Blu-ray. So when Blu-ray sort of started winning, I'm like, fine, I'll just get a PlayStation 3 as my Blu-ray player, and that way I'll be able to play those exclusives. Uh, in the case of the PS3, I think those exclusives were better. I think like the Uncharted series was kind of cool. Last of Us was definitely kind of cool. Right, so they had a bit better mix then. I don't know about the PS2. It wasn't. For some reason for me, PS2 didn't really. It wasn't as memorable to me. So,
Yeah,
but PS3 was a bit
Cozy
more memorable.
Cozy likes to say that PS3 was the peak of PlayStation.
It might have been, right? It might have been. And like PS4, especially some of the games they brought over from PS3 were pretty good, but PS4, like everything else, once we get to the last generation, I think the best we had was the 360, PS3, Wii generation from a games that came out perspective, because you just can't get the number of games you can get. In that generation in 360, we got Oblivion, Fallout 3, and Skyrim, all from Bethesda Game Studios, all in the same gen. Since then, they've released one game, Fallout 4. And this is what happens nowadays. It's like it takes forever for games to come out. But you can look at any studio and it's the same thing. You look at like GTA 4, Red Dead
Rockstar, yeah.
Redemption, GTA 5, all in the same generation, right? You got Gears 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, all in the same generation. Halo 3, 4, Reach, ODST, all in the same generation, right? You just keep going. Bioshock 1, 2, 3, Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, right? It keeps going, right? You have Borderlands 1, 2, pre-sequel, and you just keep going and going. And there's so many games that came out in that generation, and now it's like you're lucky to get one game in that franchise, if in a generation, because it just takes so long. And so for the PS4, yeah, I can see that. PS3 might have been peak because you got Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 and Last of Us from the same studio in the same generation, right? And that's how crazy that generation was, right? But now that's just not possible. Um, but we'll see if that's something that changes, but I don't think it will. All I see is like games are taking longer and longer. Since Fallout 4 to Starfield, it's going to be 8 years. 8 years of development time. That's just insane, but it's
That
normal
has to
now.
be so
It's
exhausting to
normal now.
be a person that works at a studio that came up in a time where you would be able to know, I'm gonna spend 10 years at this, like 5, 10 years at this company, and we're gonna put out a ton of games.
Yep.
It has to be exhausting now of thinking, I just got hired and we might put out one game in 10 years of me being here.
Yeah, it's where we are. It's kind of disappointing, but it's where we are. So I hope that can change, but I don't know. Um, but yeah, so since then I did get the PS4 later. And I pre-ordered the Xbox One. I did get a PS4 later as a trade-in deal. And then now I'm on Series X and PS5, but then I sold my PS5 because I got sick of the controller causing me, for some reason their controllers just cause my hands to ache. And so I'm like, okay,
Really?
yeah, so I just gave up. I'm like, I give up. I did Ratchet and Clank, and like not 10, 20 minutes in, my hands are starting to ache again. I'm like, okay, I just give up. So I
Is
finished
it
that
from
game,
the
and then I'm like,
feedback in the controllers, or is it from
I
the
don't think so, because
shape
it's
of
all the
it?
way from the two, right? So it's all the way from that. Was it the DualShock 2, whatever they used to call their old one, but all the way from PS2 to 3, 4, 5. It's always been the same thing. Their controls. I think it's just the placement of the left stick. It just somehow my hands don't like it, and it just starts hurting my hands. And so I'm like, I give up. I'm just done. Like now they're saying their games are coming to PC. I'm like, cool. If it's on PC, I can use my Xbox controller. I'll just play it there, and forego the PS5. So that's kind of
There
where
is
I've
a
gone
pretty
for
cool
there.
new, and I'm thinking that they have other controllers like it, but there are
Yeah, there was for
controllers that put,
PS4.
yeah, that put the stick in the in what people call the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Instead of symmetrical. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they're stuck on that, but it is what it is. That's their choice. That's fine. There's their design.
I know
But yeah.
Razer recently came out with a controller, I believe, that puts that has a stick. But I think all of the buttons are like mappable, kind of
Yeah.
like a Thrustmaster controller or
Yeah, it's like
whatnot.
the Elite, right? So the Elite on the Xbox, you can change anything you want, right? And you have multiple profiles and you can switch at any time, right? So
Well,
it's
but what
pretty
I'm
cool.
saying is you can
Yeah.
take out the
Yeah,
sticks, you
like
can take out
components.
the buttons,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
components and move them to wherever you like. So if you ever think about getting a PlayStation in the future, which doesn't sound too likely for you,
I
um,
mean, if they're gonna come out on PC, I just don't see why bother. I'll just play on PC. It's fine.
fair enough,
Um,
fair enough. That is
yeah.
where they're
So that's kind of where it
seeming
is
to
with
go.
consoles. But yeah, and the PC, I actually kind of once it became a job, it was actually less fun to play on the PC because it's like the PC always has PC quirks, right? Oh, your driver needs to be updated. Oh, this thing has a crash because you need to change this config file. It's minor stuff, but it's like, dude, I do this every day. I don't want to do this at home. I want to plug in the game and just play, right? I don't want to troubleshoot at home. I do that for work. So let's just stop that. So I'll play on PC if I need to, but mostly I like playing on console. I certainly know how to, troubleshoot a PC, but it's just, the mindset changes when you're at home and you're like, I don't want to do that. I'm not working out.
Exactly. I mean, and I don't know. I always argue that the couch is just so much better
It
than
is. It's
sitting
just
in
easier.
the
Just relax.
computer
Just
chair.
play.
It's just
But
my personal opinion. Take it how you want, though, folks. I understand. PC is probably the best. No, it isn't probably. It is the best
it
place to
is. It
play,
is.
but
Yeah.
it's also the least convenient place to play. So, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my consoles for a long time, probably. Um, but moving forward, so I got a few questions to ask about this generation from you, just because I want your opinions on it. Strictly your opinion, not a crowd's opinion or whatnot. But I want to know what you think about the Xbox so far. If you were to give it like a grade, like A through F, as of right now, where would you put them as like an ongoing grade up to this point? So here we are, what? Yeah, 2 years in. Uh, just less than a week than 2 years in.
Yep.
Well, just over 2 years. Where you at?
Um. Okay. So if I take no like accommodations for anything, I would put them at like a B minus. If I take an accommodation for the fact that we just went through a pandemic, I'll give him a B plus. And the reason I do that is because I can forgive some of the delays, right? If otherwise, I would say, why should I care? You promised to give me something. You should just deliver it, right? But okay, fair enough. Everybody, including Sony, everybody had delays, right?
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of the Kingdom was supposed to come out a while ago. It's being delayed, delayed, delayed. Fair enough. I get it. Fair enough. Fine. God of War was supposed to come out last year. It's coming out this year. Okay, fine. It is what it is. I get it. Fair enough, right? So I'll give them a little bit of a concession there. Okay, yes, COVID should have delayed you a little bit. On the flip side, there have been enough problems that, they should resolve them, right? And some of those are inflicted by Microsoft corporate because they decided they didn't care about Xbox for a little while. And that causes problems with whatever you do, right? If you don't invest, it's going to, it's going to start failing.
Yep,
And
long
that
run.
is exactly what
That long
happened.
run shit right there.
Yeah, right. And so if they decide not to, that's where we are, and that's things like 343 failing. That part of that is all the way from the top of not saying we care about this anymore. And if you don't care about it, you're not going to invest enough, and you're going to have what you get, right? So and they shuttered studios, and they were down to like what 3, 4 studios, right? And that's a problem. You don't have any games anymore, right? So now they flipped that around. They're trying to resolve that, and it's taking time. That's fair. It takes time. I get that. Uh, they also wanted to try to fix the issues with their current studios by shoring them up, but they started doing that, and then we hit a pandemic. It's like, okay, well, okay, fine. I can give you a little concession, but ultimately, if you know you're going to have problems, then be transparent with me and just tell me you're going to have problems, right? Don't promise you're going to have this and then you don't have it, right? So that's why I'm going to give them some dings. I don't think it's fair to just say I can just let it go. And no, you made some promises and failed, right? And so you have to be dinged, right? Even though the ecosystem is fantastic, it is. And like the Series S and X, they're a fantastic combo of consoles, right? And they're doing all the right. Game Pass is awesome. Quick resume is awesome, right? All these features they're adding in, the smart delivery, automatic upgrades, fantastic, great stuff. However, that's only one part of the equation. There's also the development part of it, which has been bad, right? So the developers who are making games for it aren't being supported enough, and those games haven't come out great, and they've required patches after the fact to even match what the PS5 is already doing, and the Series X is supposed to have more power, right? And so eventually it catches up, fine, and the Series X does show that it's got more power, but why should I have to wait? Right? That's another fail, right? So these are little things you just have to say, okay, well, these are dings, and I'm not going to give you a good grade for that. So I would put it down. So, but overall, I think it's okay. Hopefully, if the games do come next year, fantastic. But that has been one of their major problems. We've had, a bunch of games come in at the end of 2021. That's kind of it, right? And that's not good enough, right? If you look at even during the pandemic, their competitors are still putting out games, not as much, fair enough, but they are putting out games. And we got to kind of figure out what's going on here. And again, there are good mitigating circumstances, and I get that. But ultimately, I, as a consumer, have to see what I get. What's my value? And so I'm going to ding them a bit. So if I don't take those mitigating circumstances, I'd say it's a B minus, maybe even a C plus. But if I take those mitigating circumstances, I might go up to a B plus. So I'd kind of rate them at that.
Okay, I see that. And before I give you your opportunity to answer that same question for PlayStation, I'm gonna go on ahead and throw out my answer to that. I give Xbox a C right now. I give them
Yeah.
just a flat
C.
C, because it's just, yeah, sure, I can handle some delays and stuff like that. Sure, like you just got done saying everybody's had the delays, but but yeah, the not getting things to run better when we're supposed to have like
Yeah.
a clear, better console, that's a ding. Watching the way that they advertise is just so frustrating. That's a big ding for me right there, because it's just like half the time you guys advertise, it feels like it's too late. And then some of the things that you guys choose to talk about in the meantime between the games are so disconnecting from video games sometimes that it's just like why are we talking about lipstick? Like why are you guys why do I remember lipstick so much, but I can barely remember some of the games that you guys advertise? Why is In Exile advertising better than some of the games that you guys have come into Game Pass? Why is In
I actually kind
Exile
of like
doing
the
it?
lipstick, by the way. I think that's a cool thing to do because one of the things I find that's kind of lacking is culturally, it's still more male dominated than it is female. That's changing, which is good. But I like the focus on saying, you know what, let's partner with companies that don't focus on guy stuff.
That
Let's go
that's
after a different
fine.
demographic. I think that's great. But I get your point. You
It shouldn't
also have to
overshadow
show
video
the
games
games.
though.
Exactly. The whole point of your company is the games.
Right, exactly. It shouldn't
So
be overshadowing like video
it's like
gaming
we
and
have nothing
whatnot.
else. How about some lipstick?
Right. But so there's that. It's just kind of me saying, all right, Xbox, I'm tired of you getting in your own way. So I'm not ready to give you a good grade yet. That's kind of just where I'm at. And it's felt like that for many years now, but I know every Xbox fan has probably said this a million times, but I'm actually like all in on saying, 2023 is going to be that year where some things start popping off. And I'm here for it. I'm really ready to change your guys' grade because I still play on Xbox way more than I play on my PlayStation. I just
Yeah.
do. I mean, whether you agree with that or not, I don't care. It's my life. It's what I'm doing. I'm always on that damn Xbox. I put stupid amount of hours on that compared to my PlayStation. I love my PlayStation. I'm playing the heck out of God of War on it right
Yeah.
now. But as we were talking about before the show, a lot of those games I play, I beat, I never play again. And we were
Yep.
talking about that before the show. Like, my wife was asking, yo, like, why are you playing this God of War game so hard? You've only been playing this game for like the last week. And I was like, yeah, because as soon as I put it down, bye. I'm not
Yeah.
playing it again. Once it's beat, it's
Yeah.
done. It's very much the same feeling that I had for The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us 2, Ratchet and Clank. The only game that I played multiple times was Spider-Man Miles Morales. And that's just because it was just fun. It was just fun, goofy, and I also played a lot of it because my daughter just loves Spider-Man, so I was teaching her how to play the game. But yeah, the PlayStation has fantastic games, but they're just like movies for me. Really.
Yeah.
Like, and no
Yeah.
disrespect to that at all, because it's just like, man, this game's so good it feels like a movie. That's dope. That's a great thing. But if you're asking me to pick it up and play it after I beat it, it's like, why? I
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
play it again. I can't, Mass Effect my way through this and make a whole different outcome out of it. I can't multiplayer it up because that's just not available on that game. Some of the multiplayers that they did have, factions, I've heard a lot of great things about it. I've never got to play it myself. Same with
Never
the
did.
Uncharted. I heard a lot of good things about that stuff. But those haven't been getting supported very well. And we're now in the new console generation, and we're still waiting for a fact. Everyone's all on Halo's just doing this. Where's factions?
Yep. Still waiting.
Take a seat, y'all. Take a
Yeah.
seat, because one of y'all's biggest one of y'all's biggest multiplayer isn't even there at all.
Yeah. That game isn't finished yet, right? Last of Us 2 came out in 2020, and we still don't have the multiplayer part of it.
Yeah, don't tell
So
me about Halo came out half baked. So did The Last of Us Part 1, but y'all ain't tripping.
yeah.
It
Yep.
just is what it is. But anyways, yeah, continue on now about your score for PlayStation as of right now, where you see it at.
Yeah, and the reason, by the way, I don't give it a C is because of Game Pass. It is still fantastic. And so one of the things they have done though this year is they haven't matched last year. Game Pass had like a AAA-ish game every month. Not this year. And that is not good.
Yeah, that's a
So
back step as well.
exactly. And for PlayStation, I don't grade them like as highly as other people might in the PlayStation community. I'd say it's a good B over there too. They've had a few good games, but exclusives wise, neither console has really produced a lot. They have Demon Souls and Ratchet and Clank and Returnal. Right. Technically, I guess Deathloop, but that's not multi-plat. So I don't know.
Well, they got God
Most
of
of their
War just
games are
now, and
cross-platform,
Horizon,
but
and
that's cross-platform. They're all cross-platform. They're
oh,
not
you're talking
exclusive to
about just like
PlayStation
next
5.
gen only.
So, so if I have to count it as like, what is the PS5 doing for me versus a PS4 Pro? It hasn't really shown yet. It will, I'm sure, but not yet. So I'm thinking Spider-Man 2 will probably be PS5 only, but there are hints, right? They're telling us there are hints that they're going to keep the PS4 train rolling. So we don't know when that's going to end. So, um, so I'd say it's a B because they're at least releasing games, right? They're at least giving us games. The feature set is pretty good. It was very buggy when it came out, though. I was scared to even play Miles Morales because there were rumors or whatever floating around that you could brick your system if you leave it running, and I'm like, that's just baloney, right? Worse yet, I bought the disc, right? I bought the Ultimate Edition that had the Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales for PS5.
Same. The
So I put
remaster.
the PS5 disc for that into the PS5, and I went in to try to like shut it down, and I found out that I was playing the PS4 version. And I'm like, wait, you installed the PS4 version? I have a PS5 disc, and I'm putting it in a PS5. Why am I playing the PS4 version? So I had to like delete the PS4 version and put the PS5 version. Like, why do I even need to think about that? Right? That is a massive fail to me. That should not happen. Right? But it did. Right? And okay, fine. That's their mechanism to do things. But the average user, I would never have even realized that. The only reason I found that out was because I was trying to shut the game down. And I'm like pushing option buttons and stuff and trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I'm like, wait, why is this the PS4 version? So that's just dumb, right? That should just not happen. So to me, that's
From what I heard,
fail.
they fixed that issue.
I hope so, because that's terrible, right? So that was a fail for me. The interface is, dude, like to try to do chat in PS5 is so convoluted. What the heck were they thinking? So,
It's
so
not
these
the
are
best.
dings, right? The minor dings, but they're dings, and I'm like, this is just not good, right? And then the biggest fail to me, of course, is the controller. I can't, again, it hurts my hands enough that I'm like, I give up, and so it's gone, right? But I gotta say, in comparison to Xbox, at least they're putting out games,
Mm,
so you have something
facts.
from first party and third party. They've got all those deals. They keep making those deals, right? Microsoft has money. They could make the same deals. So, like, I expect more of those from them too. But every time you turn around, another big game, Sony's got it. Like, okay, well, wait, what's going on, right? So, so that is something that I think gives them a little bit of an edge. So I'd give them a B just because of the bugs and all that stuff that really bugged me, and then of course the fact that I had to just sell it because I was done with the stupid controller, which actually seems kind of cool, right? It does have some kind of cool capabilities, but ultimately I'm like, I can't like keep hurting my hands, so I'm done.
Yeah,
Um,
if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. It just kind of is what it
it is
is.
what it is, right? But it's a higher score than I would say for the Xbox because at least they're giving us games, they're giving us stuff, they're meeting some commitments.
I understand that 100%. Just to quickly go over my score, I give it a B, close to a B plus, just for the way that they've been maneuvering. Um, with that, with the PS5, they also, like you said, they've had some pretty good games come out for it. I liked Horizon Forbidden West. I didn't love it. I hated the traversal in that game, so I didn't love it. And that's like a big ding for me. For Horizon, not for PlayStation, but just for Horizon. The traversal is just not good in my opinion. But I really liked Gran Turismo 7 and like the haptic feedback and whatnot. The thing I didn't like about Gran Turismo is the camera. Like it's just really weird. It feels like you're driving the map a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but the haptic feedback in it's really cool. It looks really nice for the most part. I mean, if you don't pay too much attention of like the detail around the track, if you're looking at the car and like the track that you're driving on, good. But if you're looking like outside the track, like at the trees and stuff like that, it's not
Yeah, it's
quite as
not good.
pretty. It's not quite as pretty, but it's still a really good, fun game.
Yeah.
A lot of longevity to it. Ratchet and Clank was fun. Miles Morales was fun. Really looking forward to playing. The next game I'm purchasing on there is Callisto. I know it's not exclusive to that, but that's where I'm going to be getting it. And then also, what's that new game that's coming out? Starts with an F.
Oh, I know what you mean. The Square Enix game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. It's
Yeah,
wild.
Forspoken.
Forspoken. Thank you.
Yeah,
Forspoken.
Forspoken.
Yeah,
Forspoken.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that game. So like, I feel like Sony's doing Sony, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I'll give them a
Yeah.
B for that. A high B. But yeah, There are definitely some dings there as well, especially with like the way that I never play with anybody on that console. That's a
Not a
big
social
ding to
console,
me.
right? That's not their thing.
That's a massive ding for me. Like
Yeah.
I never play with anybody else whenever I'm playing on that. I'm never in a party chat when I'm with somebody else as well. So that kind of goes
Yeah.
with the same thing that I just said. But the problem with the party chat is it just is ass. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Um,
It's disappointing.
you may like not you specifically, but like those of you that are listening, like you guys may think that that party chat is okay or it's fine or I don't see anything wrong with it, but like I don't know, like just the sound quality of it. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's my buddy's headsets, but I don't think it is because it's just like everybody. It just sounds very
Muffled.
walkie-talkie ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does not sound good. It sounds like everyone's talking through like a like a what is it called, like a paper towel tube.
Yep.
It's just not good in my opinion. What's up, 108 Dragon? He says, "What's up? What's good, gaming community? Hargeet, my dude, great guy, and awesome host, Ham Solo. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping through. I also see Gogo Poll as well. I'm gonna start going through some of these chats real quick, just so we can make sure we acknowledge some of the people in the chat. So he says, I would say the same for the Series X, though the next gen consoles are much more convenient with the SSD. It's a big change with load times, with loads and times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're not wrong with that. And I'm just going to go back and talk about the PlayStation 5 real quick with God of War. The amount of times because I'm playing it on Give Me No Mercy, which is like the second hardest difficulty. They don't allow you to go straight to God of War from the jump. And it's probably smart because if I could have, I probably would have went to Give Me Balance after it
Yeah.
because I would have probably got my ass beat so bad that I would have wanted to go 2 levels lower. But yeah, I'm struggling right now with Give Me No Mercy. And I mean, I'm having a good time getting through the game and whatnot. But when I don't beat a boss the way I want to, I'm quick to restart. And I could only imagine what that'd be like on the PS4 right now, listening to that jet engine going off, trying trying to reload this. And I've even had it happen once to my PS5. My whole console just restarted itself
Wow.
because it was just like working so hard or something like that. I don't know. But like I can only imagine the pain of playing that same game on the PS4 and like, oh crap, I didn't beat the boss the way I want to. I'm gonna restart mid-match and then wait another like 60 seconds, maybe 80 seconds just for that same fight to happen over and or you get into that habit of just losing. Like you can't win. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It'd be awful having to wait for those load times. But, anyways, now the last console that we need to talk about, which I'm not sure if you play a whole lot of, but the Switch. Like, where do you feel
Yeah.
the Switch kind of goes in between all this stuff that's happening right now between the Xbox and PlayStation? How do you think their grade is?
Um, that's an interesting question. I mean, I definitely use my Switch, but it's also mostly for those exclusives. So, and then if I happen to be going, I the last couple of years we haven't traveled much, but if I do travel, I take my Switch with me. So it's great for that. Um, I guess I'd still give it like a B. I think the games are fantastic, the ones that are from
Everything's getting a
Nintendo.
B.
And the reason I ding it is because it can't play the triple A's, right? It just doesn't have the oomph, and it becomes a console relegated to its own, first party awesome games and then indies. There are a couple of third party fantastic games. I don't want to take them away, right? But by and large, it's an indies console, and it has the first party fantastic games that Nintendo puts out, and that kind of gives it a little bit of a ding. Otherwise, it's great. I don't have many complaints. I like the Pro controller they have. It works pretty well for me. I have it
The
hooked up to my
stick's in the right
TV.
place.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. The only negative I have is like they've swapped like the ABXY a little bit, and so it's a
Yeah.
little confusing every time you're playing but you get used to that. And then as far as like the graphics, what's interesting is even though they have such low graphics, it still looks beautiful. So most of their games still somehow they look beautiful. So it's great. So overall, I'd give it a B. I can't give it the A just because they don't want to compete in that power narrative, and that kind of takes them out of the like we're competing with Xbox and PlayStation. I wish they would, but I get it. I totally understand. Like they don't know if they can get the AAAs to come in. Maybe they can. I mean, like they're doing fantastic right now, so maybe it'll work. But I don't know. But we'll have to see. So so that's where I put the Switch.
Oh man, so B's across the board.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's really anyone's cake to take at
Yeah,
this kind
pretty
of
much. I
moment for
mean,
you.
you know, yeah. I mean, like it's all dependent on the experience, right? When that Zelda hits, everybody else can go away. I'm gonna be playing Zelda. It's just the way it is, right? So, you know, if a Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever the next Mario comes out, I'm gonna be playing that. It just, you know, that's just the way it is. They're so good that I'll be there. So,
I see you, Cozy, trolling 108 Dragon a little bit. He says, at Hargeet, I'm buying my first OLED for my bedroom, C2 48-inch, downsizing from my
nice.
65-inch. Thoughts on that TV unless G2 has 48-inch?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have the C1s. The G's I think are a little bit better, right? So that's it's up to you, dude. Like Lemon, I'm not sure which one you want to have, but I have the 48 C1 as my monitor, and I like it a lot. It's pretty good. Um, and then I have the 77-inch C1 as my normal TV. They work great. But yeah, I haven't seen what the C2 versus the G2. I want to say there's actually a little bit of a brightness bump on the G2. So if that's the thing you want, you know, go for it.
You know, Lemon's gonna get one or the other, though. It's happening.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so all those grades and whatnot, pretty interesting. I think it's interesting that you have everybody kind of on the same playing field right now because it's just like who's who's gonna surge ahead.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's to be
Microsoft has a
determined.
chance to really take off, right? Because if that's Starfield, like, so one of the things you were mentioning, right? So, you know, you don't have the ability like Mass Effect to have a different playthrough. Starfield's going to have that, right? They don't like PlayStation doesn't have an equivalent to a Starfield, right? They don't have that classic RPG that's going to give you hours upon hours, but hundreds of hours of gameplay because you can play that over and over again and have totally different outcomes. And it's so, and it's just based on whatever you want to do at that time, right? So they don't really have that, and so you know Microsoft is going to be putting that out, and it's going to be an exclusive to them, right? It's their own game. Uh, that is going to be a big deal, right? So we'll see how that goes. And there's a whole bunch of other ones coming next year, and then we don't know what's happening in the second half of the year. Plus, they're starting to get their third party mojo in, right? We got Wolong coming in. We got uh, is Life of P is
Liza
actually
P.
multi-plat. Lies of P, sorry, is multi-plat, but it's coming to Game Pass, right? I
Correct.
think, right? I
I
don't think it's
think
exclusive,
so.
but Atomic Heart is exclusive. You know, at some point we'll get Stalker, right? They're starting to get some of those things coming in. They're starting to get some Japanese games. I'm hoping to get more exclusive ones there, right? So they're starting to build that up now.
The
We're
other
starting to get
personas are going to be coming out too.
exactly. They're putting more and more in Game Pass from Japan, right? That's fantastic, right? So, you know, that will start picking up, right? So, you know, Game Pass is that vehicle that just is so amazing. So as long as they keep throwing stuff in there and they can give me that AAA a month, it's going to be a pretty good year if they can do that. And they have the potential to do that, right? They already have, you know, was it 5 or 6 of their own? They have like Age of Empires 2 and 4. They've got Minecraft Legends, Forza, Redfall, Starfield. Am I missing anything else? I don't know if there's anything else already announced. But I think that's already announced, right? So that's quite a few games right there. That's their own, and I'm sure they'll space those
What'd you
out.
say? Like 4 games?
There's Age of Empires 2 definitive, and then Age of Empires 4. Those are coming out next year, right? Then there's Minecraft Legends. There's Forza Motorsport. There's Redfall. There's Starfield, right? So that's 6 games, I think, right? So
Yeah.
you know, and if that's the first half, And and we're not even talking about like Wolong or something like that, right? Those games are coming too, right? We got Atomic Heart, and so those have to be interspersed throughout. So it could be a very good year as far as like releases, right? So if they can give me that one AAA a month thing, I think it's going to be a pretty good year for them. So, and equivalently, I haven't heard much about what Sony has to push back on that or to compete with that. We have the potential for Spider-Man 2 at least, but we haven't seen much else from the trailer that they showed a while ago. So that's the potential they have, and then I'm sure they have more coming out. Like Factions might be coming, Forspoken and Final Fantasy 16. Those are third parties, but at least they have those as exclusives coming in for them.
Yeah,
Things
I
like
know that they have that one game by what was it? The
oh yeah,
I
Ghostwire. I
forgot the
forget, forgot about that. Ghostwire is
well,
also coming to Xbox.
right, yeah, that game's gonna be coming over, but they have that that I, I can't remember the name of it, but it's called Project something, and it has a woman running around with a sword. E- e-
Oh,
Everybody was I
Project
don't remember.
Athia? Is that
No,
what it's
no, I'm
called?
talking about for PlayStation.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. There's something,
But
is it Eve something? What the heck was it?
Project Eve.
Eve, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it was called Project Eve. That game looks interesting,
But
and yeah, you
did
said
they
something about
rename that one,
Spider
or it's
Man.
still Project Eve?
No, no, they did actually give it a
An
name, but I
actual
just
name,
don't
right? Yeah.
remember what the name. Stellar Blade, I think, is the actual name
Ah,
of the game.
okay.
And that game looks pretty dope, but that looks like it's gonna be on. I feel like PlayStation is making a lot of these games the same kind of way, where it's gonna be like
Yeah.
it's gonna be a great game, but it's gonna be a one playthrough kind of game for me. Like,
Yep.
and I don't see. I remember what was it? Paris not that long ago. Paris Lily saying something about um, it isn't enough if they have like 4 or 5 games
I
come
agree.
out next year.
I agree.
You agree that's not enough?
That's not enough. Because look, they did give us a bunch of games in 2021, but 2022 we've had Grounded and Pentiment. That's just not enough, and they have to make up for 2022 being absolutely barren, right? So all these games that are coming were delays of this year's games. What are next year's games? I'm expecting those next year games in the second half, right? So it is definitely not enough. They cannot just come out with what they have on the slate and say that's good enough. It's not. They have to come up with more. Like we have to expect them to make up for the 8 years of crap that they've given us. Because that's what it's been, right? We've had very few games during the Xbox One gen all the way up to now, right? Yes, we had like a handful of cool games at the end of 2021, but that's just not enough. So I agree with them. They got to at least give us 2 big games at the second half. There have to be games. There have to be,
So
right? It
wouldn't you
just
be?
can't be this.
Are you not worried about games trampling other games though?
Not really.
With
Why I say that is Game Pass. I don't care. At that point, I can play them at any time, right? It'd be one
sure,
thing if you could say that, I have to buy it when it's coming out, right? So if I want to play Age of Empires, I can play that at any time. It doesn't matter. Halo, on the other hand, can't be trampled by another multiplayer game, right? Because that's a multiplayer game, right? So you need to be able to attract customers to that and keep them there. And if something like Call of Duty is coming out 3 days later, and now that's going to be a first party thing, right? So they'll know not to do that, right? But that's something you can't do, right? So those would have to be spaced out. They'd have to handle that. But for most of those games, if I'm going to play Wolong, am I really competing with Halo? No, they're very different games, and I can play Wolong anytime I want to. It's not their game, but you know what I mean. Starfield, that's a game that people will be playing for a decade, right? It doesn't matter. You can get into it anytime. Somebody could still pick up Skyrim today and play it, and it's still fantastic, right? So some of those games I don't care. But the thing is they owe their Xbox, especially their loyal gamers, something, right? That we have been waiting for a long time. Wait till next year. Wait till next year. Wait till next year. Next year is coming, and it better be damn good, right? It
oh
better
damn.
have games, right? So I agree with Paris. No, they owe us some games, right? They put out a roadmap of all these games, and then no dates, and like where are those games, right? So they got to show us some games, and there have to be more games coming next year than what we've seen. It just has to be. So
So
that
and
second
this
half, I'm
is
expecting 2 games. 2 games have to come out.
And let's pretend that third party isn't a
This is
thing.
first party. This is first party.
You're only talking about first party right now.
I'm talking about first party because they 100% should go make third party deals. Absolutely. If they can get some big AAA games in third party, absolutely do that. 100% do that. But they need to put out 2 more games. They need to put out 2 more games. And I'm
So
hoping
how many games ideally would you like to see then? Next year.
Next year specifically.
First party, yeah.
Probably 8.
8?
Woo,
yes. That is very ambitious.
Look, they got to make up for this year, right? We should have had 3 or 4 games this year. Mm-hmm. We've had 2 indie type games, Grounded and Pentiment. That has to be made up for, plus next year's games. And next year you should have had 3 or 4 games. That's just normal. They should be doing that. If you look at how many games Nintendo put out this year, it's insane. It's insane how many games they have, right? And then you look at even, first party from Sony. It's not bad, right? You have Last of Us Remake, you got God of War, Horizon, you got MLB, you got what's called the Gran Turismo, right?
Hey, the only stale moment was summer.
Yeah, right, and it's so a lot of output, right? And where's Microsoft? Nothing, right? So no, they need to put out a lot of games. They need to put out a lot of games. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I hope you're right and they do something like 8 because that would be tremendous.
Yeah.
My PS5 would be shivering.
And I hope. Well, look, I mean, they need to bring it. They need to bring it. Like next year, there's going to be attention taken by Nintendo with Zelda, and that's a big game. Let's not kid ourselves. That's going to be a Game of the Year nominee. And you have Spider-Man, which is no joke. That's no joke. Just the name alone is going to bring that, a lot of attention, right? And so you've already got big games coming from the other side. We have Starfield, but that, I'm sorry, is just not enough. We need to have more. They have to bring out more games. I fully agree with Paris on that one. It's just what they've announced is not enough. It's just not enough. That June showcase better have games coming in 2023 and then stuff coming in 2024.
So when you seen that showcase last year, were you disappointed? Or not last year, but earlier this year?
I was not disappointed. I was disappointed with nothing in 2022. And I actually told Matt Booty that. I actually talked to Matt Booty and actually said the same thing. So he asked me, what'd you think? And I'm like, it was good, except there's nothing in 2022. What's going on? And he's like, they're just not ready. The game's just not ready. But next year we're going to blow you away. And I was like, that's fine. But we'll see, right? We'll see what happens.
Right.
But it better be that there's more games coming out next year.
Man, all right. Well, that was fantastic. Really interesting stuff right there. A lot that was said, and a lot to be interested in coming on. But let's move forward. I'm kind of curious about you and like content creating and whatnot. So you don't have like something that you like you don't have like your own channel isn't something that you do a whole lot of content creating on and stuff like that.
I'm supposed to be doing it with Gaz in Game on Daily, and it's been slow going. We need to kind of like get. The thing is, Gaz wants high quality, right? And that's fair, right? If you look at the stuff they do, it's pretty high production value. So
it is.
That's what they want to do, and that's a fair thing. So we just gotta have to get that together so that we can get more of my stuff out there. I did put out a video on my channel. It was my response to the CMA. So, the CMA was looking for feedback from people if anybody wanted to provide it. So I went ahead and sent them an email with my thoughts. And then I just made a video basically just reading through it. And I added in a little bit of commentary about what I thought about the EU Phase 1 response as well. So I threw that up on my channel. But beyond that, it's really supposed to be with Game on Daily. So we have to start figuring out how to get more of my videos out there. But we'll get that going. Gaz is also very, very busy, and he wants to do the editing. Like,
he seems like one of the busiest guys ever.
His never job has a lawyer, right? And dude, that is a crazy job to begin with. On top of that, he wants to do all this stuff on the side, and he's got Colt's show and his own, and all this stuff going on. It's nuts. But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully you can get some more stuff out there. So what is like the direction that you're trying to go with like some of your content as you start coming out? Is it going to be like reviews? Is it going to be like thoughts? What's your content going to be kind
I like
of?
Yeah, like I like to sort of analyze the industry to see where things are. So that's been most of the ones that I've put out on my channel. Um, I'm open to reviews. We kind of need to work that through as far as getting review codes. So like Pentiment, for instance, all the folks that I know around in the community don't want to even play the game, and if they do, they hate it. And I'm like, I'm the only one who's probably gonna like that game. So I would have loved to have gotten a review copy because I would have reviewed it, and because I like point and click adventures, right? So I think I'm gonna love that game, but I haven't even gotten to start it yet. Um, but yeah, that kind of thing would be great. And those are the kind of games I'd want to go after, the ones where people don't have any idea, right? Like reviewing God of War, uh, like everybody's gonna want to play that game anyway, and the game is reviewing well, and everybody knows it's gonna be a quality game anyway. So it's like, do I need to review it? Maybe, but like ultimately, I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in things like High on Life, because people are gonna be iffy on that. Like, is that good? Is it gonna be bad? What is this thing, right? So that's the kind of game I'd like to review, just to see like, okay, people are gonna be interested in finding out, is this even worth trying, or is this trash, right? So, or was this so fantastic the second I started I couldn't stop, right? Like Vampire Survivors, right? That's like one of those games out of nowhere. It's like, wow, this is pretty addictive, and you just keep playing it. Like, so, but you might not care. You might just look at it and like, this is 2-bit crap. I don't want to even deal with it, right? But it's like, no, you should play this game. It's really fun, right? So things like that. I would like to try to review some of those. But generally, I like to do videos about where the industry is, what's happening in the industry, where things are going.
Okay. And I'm guessing your kind of thoughts and stuff is like that. Is it going to be recorded or live?
Mostly recorded, I would think. Yeah.
Mostly recorded. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, we'll definitely be looking out for some of that stuff as you start to roll it out. Is that going to be something that you're thinking about doing at the beginning of next year or mid next
Yeah, I
year?
think I'll be free for a while, right? So I'm gonna try to see if I can work out some time with Gaz. I don't know if he's gonna have, like, he just went on vacation, so I don't know how much free time he's gonna have, but we'll see if we can work out something and try to start putting things together. So yeah, maybe even this year we'll start putting something together.
Dope, dope. I'm excited for you, man. Start throwing out this content with the rest of us and whatnot. But continuing on, I'm wondering, like, how did you even get the idea of wanting to do something like this? Is it just something that they like have you always been comfortable in front of cameras?
Yeah, so not really. I mean, normally as a techie, you tend to not be very comfortable with that. But the thing is, once you start, like in my career, I've had to go up the ladder a bit. And so once you become an architect, your job is to interface with people, right? So you have to be comfortable talking to people, and in a format that isn't all tech words, right? You have to be able to talk to people in words that they understand, and then make that into technology, right? So I just kind of got used to that. So instead of just talking about computer jargon or tech talk, you just talk about, hey, what are your issues? What are you working on? Okay, I understand. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. Got it. Right. And so you just kind of get used to talking. And then you have to present, right? Here's the solution. Here's why it's the solution, right? And so you just kind of get into that flow. And so I just tend to be okay with talking. I don't care. Like I don't get you know hesitating or fearful of talking or anything like that. I just like, whatever. I'll just talk. So so that just became a natural thing. I don't really care as much, so I just go ahead and talk. Plenty of opinions. I have plenty of opinions, and I'm happily able to just say them. So, but yeah, the way all this kind of started was, I would watch these videos not live. I would just watch them after the fact on YouTube. I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool. And then I caught a couple live, and I'm like seeing these super chats go by, and I'm like, what's this? You can actually interact? Hey, why don't I interact?
And you do
And so
interact.
I started interacting, and then eventually, I got Colt to like become a friend on Xbox, and then it just kind of blew up from there. So from that, I ended up on like on RDX, on Game on Daily, on all sorts. So I think first was on Game on Daily, and then I did a couple of RDX shows, became part of Game on Daily, and then went from there, right? So now I've been on like so many different podcasts since since that. So, but yeah. So that's kind of how it went.
And how does it feel for you now to be asked to come out into all these different podcasts, including mine? Like,
It's weird, dude. And like the part that's interesting is like when we went to the June showcase, right? We actually were out there physically, and people actually recognize you and say, "Hey, you're," and then you're like, "Well, you recognize me? Like, me? Who am I?" But yeah,
the
and
guest.
yeah, especially when you're like like standing next to Colt, and I'm like, yeah, okay, right. So, yeah, so like it's interesting, but yeah, yeah, whatever, right? You just take it as it is, and go on with it and see how it goes. But yeah, it's a very odd thing.
Well,
But yeah,
congratulations to you on meeting all these different people and connecting and,
yeah,
really, I mean, because it's a hell of an experience and it's part of your gaming journey,
yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's pretty amazing that, you got your job through gaming, you got
Yep.
friends through gaming, you got
Yep.
recognized through gaming. Like,
Yep.
bro, like all this stuff that
It's
people
the
tell
world.
you growing up about gaming, how
Yeah.
it doesn't
Gaming's
mean
so bad for
nothing.
you.
Right. It is leveling you up like crazy.
Right?
So congrats to you.
Yeah.
Hats off to your brother. Keep doing what you're doing because it is definitely appreciated.
Yeah, this community is awesome. Like the Xbox community is pretty good. I don't know much about the PlayStation community because I haven't really delved into it, so I'm not sure if they're just about the same or different. I keep hearing it's not, but that might be a different perspective because we're on this side and
Right,
right.
right.
So I don't want to, I'd have to experience it to understand how they are over there,
Yeah,
right?
you can't
So
you can't go by somebody's thought processes on it if they're
yeah,
strictly
yeah,
on their side of the grass. They don't want to
yeah,
go to wherever where
yeah,
PlayStation is specifically, which is it just is what it is because you'd hear the exact same thing if you were um, hanging out with PlayStation fans only. Oh yeah, the
yeah,
Xbox community is just so much worse. Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
can't talk to
yeah.
those guys. They don't understand anything. They don't listen.
I blame Twitter.
Tough. I mean, social media definitely has made anybody feel like they're King Kong, right? They
Well, it's
think
not
they're
only
these.
that, like Twitter specifically, like it limits what you can say. And so in a context of like, oh, I give it a B, and you're like, well, I give it a C. I understand your points, but here are my points. But you can't say that. You can just say, I give it a C, right? And it's like, well, I don't understand your context anymore, right? Because it's just not there, right? And that's the thing that I find that Twitter it exacerbates a divide instead of having a conversation, right? So like face to face, we
Great
can
way to
just
put it.
talk about things, right? Whereas if you're just seeing somebody's text, all you're seeing is the very few words that they can put in there, and you don't have anything around those words to tell you the rest, right? So you just think this is some jackass asshole, right? But you have no idea that they actually are like, oh no, I agree with 80% of what you said, but I have this different take on it, and this is what I think, right? And that's really where most of it is. But we take it as 100% against you instead of like it's only like 5% against you, and you're probably mostly the same. It doesn't matter, right? But that's why I hate Twitter. It's too antagonistic, and it creates too many divides instead of putting people together. To me anyway. So I don't like Twitter. It just doesn't seem like a good platform. And it's doing
I
that across
mean,
just gaming.
it's
It's
fair.
across the world, right? It's across everything. And we just keep finding people are fighting more and more instead of just like uniting. Because like most of the things we all agree on, it's just not that big a deal. But but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have to go out of your way on Twitter to say everything that you want to say. And then
Yeah,
even when you say everything that you want to say, then it's listed in like one page, then the next page, and the next page, and the next page down. So somebody has to really invest in time into
exactly.
looking at
Exactly.
that instead of just there it is.
Yep.
There's the whole thought. Which I guess you can do on like a Facebook and stuff like that, but
Exactly.
it's weird. It definitely is weird, and I mean, I really like the way that you put the whole like it pretty much like charges up
Yeah, it does, and I don't like it.
frustration
Yeah.
from not being able to get your whole point across if you feel like you want to or whatnot. But anyways, yeah, I mean, like I said, really happy that you're in gaming, that you're really liked by so many people. That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Hopefully, you just keep growing. But anyways, um, I want to know of all the games that Hargeet's played throughout his life. So, I mean, obviously, you've been on PlayStation, you've been on some of the older consoles like Atari, ColecoVision, and stuff like that. But you also have, you know, played a ton of Nintendo and Xbox and stuff. I want to know what type of game, and I've asked Lemon this, and he was dancing for a long time. And I asked, what genre do you really not like that much or completely like dislike at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's one that I generally tend to avoid, and that's the sports games. I used to like them, but now that like the just having to use the controller and it's too much like jarring back and forth, and my thumbs just get tired too fast. And so I generally tend not to play like the NHLs and the NBAs and stuff like that. So those games I tend to avoid. Um, the ones where it's like Football Manager, where you're managing a season and you're not
Hmm.
actually playing the game. Those aren't as interesting to me either. Um, for the most part, I'll try just about anything else. If it'll hook me, it'll hook me. If not, then I'll give up on it. And I'll even try like kiddie games or cutesy games. That's fine, whatever. I'll try anything. But those are the ones I'll avoid. It's the sports games that are like, nah, I'm all set. So that's it. That's got to be the genre. It's going to be sports games.
What's the
Racing games are
last
just
sports
as
game that
close
you
to that.
enjoyed? What's the last sports game that you enjoyed?
And not counting racing, right? Um,
Correct. Yeah.
gosh. I think it would be like where's the one with like the basketball where your heads are really big and you just do
Like
like
NBA
fantastic.
Jam
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the
or
last
NBA
one.
Street.
One of the whatever like you can do whatever and you do these like fantastical like whatever stuff like that. Yeah,
I'm thinking
that.
you're probably I'm thinking you're probably talking about Street, but I mean you did both of them in both of those games and
Yeah.
whatnot. I know NBA Jam was really because like you'd have like the three things that you could pick, and like it was like a
Yeah.
gamble. Whether you can get big head, big football, or big basketball, or something like that.
Now, interestingly enough, you could also count, and I don't know if this does count. You could count Wii Sports, right? And Wii Sports was a lot of fun. I gotta be honest. Wii Sports was a lot a lot of fun.
How
There's the
many
stupid
TVs did
little
you break?
bowling and little tennis stuff that they used to do. And that stuff was kind of fun. I gotta be honest. So- because it wasn't like me like having to move sticks, right? It was just like me moving the controller and right. It was a little bit more normal motion. So, I think that probably was the last one I really enjoyed was that Wii Sports.
In other words, he says, I don't fuck with sports games at all. Gotcha.
I don't. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you said racing as well. So I'm kind of curious, like, what did you think about Forza then? So, like, if you
Yeah.
don't like
So
racing,
I will play like a Forza Horizon. Well, so let's say Forza Motorsport. I'll play that for like an hour, and then I'm done. Right? It's essentially like show me the best graphics the system can do, and then I'm done with this. Forza Horizon, I have a bit
it's a
more fun with.
benchmark game.
It literally is for me. It's like because that's what they do, right? They basically show you the best the box is going to be able to do. But Forza Horizon, I found a bit more fun. I think that one it's a bit more like because there's no forced I have to do and win this race. It's I could just go around and just keep looking at the scenery and let's veer this way and go see what's over here and veer that way. And if I want to do the events, I can, and that's cool. But I can just drive around the countryside and just keep looking at stuff, right? And change cars and play around, right? So that one's a bit more fun to me. And again, I'm not going to go in there for like 100 hours, but I'll give that more than an hour. I'll probably play that for 10, 15 hours, right? And then go from there. The Hot Wheels expansions though were very fun. Those were interesting. So I did play that both. Was it 3 or 2?
It was
3, yeah,
three.
that 3 and then the new one, right? 5.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I played that on both, and so that was kind of fun. So I'll play a little bit more of the Forza Horizon kind of games. I played Dirt 5, and I was pretty surprised that I liked it. Mario Kart, I don't know if you consider that a racing game, but I love Mario Kart.
It's
Those
a
are
kart
fun.
racer.
Yeah, so those are fun. I love those. Those are great. But yeah, so I generally don't gravitate towards them, but I will try them, right? Even if it's a Game Pass racing game, I'll try it, right? But if it's a sports game, I'm just gonna say nah, I'm good.
Yeah, Cozy nailed it right there. She said Forza is one of those games that will get people that don't like racing games to have fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely, that's the truth. I fell out of racing games because the last one that I really got into hard was Sega GT
wow,
2002 or something like that.
wow,
You remember that one for the OG Xbox, but it was also on Dreamcast as Sega GT. But yeah, that's the last time I got really big into a racing game. That and Gran Turismo 2, the double disc box set. But yeah, I played Forza Horizon 4, and I was just like, this is fun. This is okay. But I hated the scenery. No, Forza Horizon
really?
4. I hated
That
it.
was Australia, right?
I thought it was
No,
England.
that was England, right? That was the
Yeah.
UK. Yeah, 3 was Australia, right?
I um I I don't remember, bud.
I
I don't
think that's
remember.
right. Yeah,
But I know 4 was England and I hated it. Like
yeah,
just the way that everything looked, it just felt so bland and whatnot. So once I got into 5, I was like, I think I found a racing game again. And it's been like
yeah,
almost 2 decades. Like, wow, like let's
yeah,
go. So, man, that game was absolutely amazing the way it looks and it's very much like you said, like it's one of those games of I'm just going to try this and see. I swear that whole
yeah,
game is like I wonder what happens if I do this and you just like
yeah,
just veer off the course and
yeah.
go down the
Why not,
mountain
right?
and it's all good. It just is what it
Yeah.
is. It's dope. But now I want to know what were your favorite 3 games that you played this year?
Yeah.
Whether they came out this year or not is
Yep,
irrelevant.
yep. So I finished It Takes Two this year, with Gaz. He was the other, the co-op partner. And that is a fantastic game. That was, I think, was it the game of the year last year, or the year before,
Yeah, it was last year.
whatever. And it well deserved. Like at the time, I'm like, why is this what he? Yeah, that game deserved it. It's so good. It really is. Like the co-op part of it, the story was good, but the many different types of games that are in that game, it was so good. So yeah, well worth it. Yakuza Like a Dragon, and then Gotham Knights. Now, I haven't played Plague Tale all the way through though, so that might end up being the game that I actually think is the best. But there's other games that I haven't played through either. So we'll see. But for now, I'll say those 3, and then maybe Plague Tale will be supplanting one of them.
Every time I got to bring it up. That elephant scene on It Takes Two. That was that was icy right there. That was something, wasn't it? That was
All of it was pretty good, dude. There's
something.
so many awesome things they did with that game. Every one of those transitions, right? All the banter between them. It was crazy.
The book was
The book.
hilarious.
Collaboration.
Yeah, that was so awkward. But I
So
mean, if
good.
you played their previous game,
I
A
did
Way
A Way
Out,
Out, and then what was the one
phenomenal.
before that? Because I played that too. Was that Brothers Tale or something like that? I don't remember what it was, but it was something like that. But yeah, he's done some pretty good games. So
Yeah, shout out to Hazellight. They're dope.
yep.
Absolutely. So now I want to know what your favorite studio of all time is, and then the game that represents it the best. What would you say?
Um, I mean, it's got to be Nintendo, right? Because just like banger after banger after banger, you got to give it to them. Like 40 years of ridiculous games. So it's gonna be Nintendo. I think that's what they call it. It's like Nintendo Studio, the one that Shigeru Miyamoto runs, whatever. So they do all the Zeldas and Mario's. Um, what would be the best? I mean, uh, the highest meta game of all time is Ocarina. I'll just give it to that.
Jeez Louise. All right. Jeez, you went straight for the throat on that one. Yeah, you went straight to the top. Gotcha. All right,
Yep.
simple, really
Yep.
simple answer right there. Okay, I want you to give me a couple games that you can think of that you're most excited for the next, like, so for 2023 and beyond. Doesn't have to be one or two games. It can be as many as you can think of. Just tell me the games specifically that you're excited for. So obviously, I don't want to hear you tell me Forza because you're gonna play it for an hour and
Yeah.
you're gonna put it down.
Literally, yes. Thankfully, it'll be in Game Pass. I will play it for an hour to see the beautiful graphics, right? But um, Tears of the Kingdom, right? The next Zelda game, obviously. Starfield, definitely. Excited about that one. Um, Beyond that, I'm actually interested in what they do with Perfect Dark because that could be really cool. Splinter Cell. Um, I mean, there's so many games. There's the Harry Potter game. Um, Uh, Suicide Squad. I hope that turns out to be really good. It looks like graphically it looked fantastic.
Hmm.
I'm hoping the gameplay will be good. I mean, that team has done some pretty good stuff, right? So Suicide Squad. Um, I guess eventually Wolverine will come out, and I'm hoping that's a good game. Insomniac generally tends to be pretty good, so we'll see what they do with it. But yeah, that might be really cool.
Would that
Um,
make you buy a PS5 again?
No, because it'll come to PC. I don't see the point, right? I'll just play it on PC.
Is there
Um,
any game that PlayStation could possibly come out with
no, they would have
or
to replace the
take and make
controller.
exclusive?
It would be the controller. It's not the console isn't the problem. I pre-ordered that the millisecond it was available, right? I had it. It came out day and date the original date. I got it. I had it right from the get go. It's the controller. If they gave me an option for the controller, I'd be fine with their console. It was just the controller. That's it. So
Well, but they do have options for controllers, just
yeah, for
third party.
PS4 they had the Scuff, right? And so maybe they have some new PS5 options coming at some point. Fair enough, right? But I'm like, I'm kind of done trying to. I did like I spent a day or so looking for one, and I'm like, I can't find anything. I'm done. I'll just sell this and move on, right? So look, they said they're multi-plat, so I'll just deal with it on PC instead. But yeah, if they had like an official like controller that's available that lets me do the staggered sticks, I might consider it. But otherwise, the PC is fine. Um, but yeah, so far those are coming to mind. Fable, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Um, I don't know much about the other like. So there's a IO Interactive Project Dragon that could be pretty cool, but I don't know what their actual game is there, and what In Exile is doing. Avowed is very interesting. Um, so we'll see what that looks like. But like Outer Worlds, if it's something like that, that was pretty good. I liked Outer Worlds. But this is going to be in a fantasy world, so that'd be kind of cool. Outer Worlds 2 looks kind of like interesting to me. Um, what I'd like to see is games that they take from Activision though, when they buy that and start bringing out some of the games that they have either in their library, start making some of those games. Infinity Ward is working on something other than Call of Duty. Very intrigued. What is that going to
Wow.
be? What are they going to put out? Right, that's a fantastic studio. What are they going to put out? Right, so I'm kind of intrigued with what that might look like. Um,
First of all, is it going to be a shooter?
I don't know. Yeah, that's
You
the thing,
know,
right? So
like that,
if it's
like
not a
that's like
shooter, that
the
would be so
first
cool,
question.
right? So yeah, just like branch out, do something else, right?
Tell
Um,
343 to do the same. Damn.
well, maybe I don't know. I mean, Halo needs
I,
some content.
well, I mean,
So
absolutely. I'm not saying, hey, stop doing Halo. I'm
yeah,
definitely not saying that. I'm just saying, hey, it'd be
take a
really
break.
cool because we see, I mean, as you just said, Infinity War is doing something else. The coalition's doing something else right
Yeah,
now. It'd be cool to see, yo, what's in the mind of 343 because you guys took what Bungie had and ran with it. I
yeah,
want to see what you guys could possibly make. I know there's a bunch of people from Bungie that ended up working at 343 and whatnot, so very
yes,
similar minds and whatnot. But it'd be
yeah,
interesting just to see, like Xbox to be like, you know what, this is what holds our flagship or one of our main, titles right here.
yeah,
Let's see if maybe after you get Halo solidified and comfortable, let's see if you guys can maybe make a brand new game to, like, reboost your stats for some people, or at least people, or at least make people that were maybe not so much into Halo since 343 took it over, get them back into 343 through a different game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what the coalition is doing, right? So they're making a middle, something game between Gears 5 and 6, that has nothing to do with the Gears world. It's mostly to learn UE5, right? So yeah, it's a potential, right? Just to kind of, cleanse your palate a bit, try something different. Certainly a viable thing to do. Uh, and I don't know what that would look like. To me, I would love to see a Pentiment like game, right? Do something small scale, something out of the norms. You have Game Pass, so try it. What the heck, and throw it in Game Pass and see if it's something people would latch onto. Um,
Even
so yeah,
Playground's dipping into another realm.
yep, yeah. So yeah, I mean they're certainly branching away from what they normally do, right? So
I mean, way far away, right?
yep,
I mean, and if
yep,
you look at like the NPCs and stuff like that in uh in Forza, it's kind of cringe. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So we'll see what they do with it, right? But yeah, yeah.
so
So
it's interesting, yeah.
um,
But
but yeah, those are the ones coming to mind so far. I'm sure there's many others that I'm missing, but yeah, I'm assuming that at some point they're going to give us a new Mario game, and that will also be something I would look forward to. So whatever that looks like, whichever pattern they like.
awesome. Well, we got about 15 minutes left, give or take. And I just got a few more questions for you that I want you to come out and let me know your feelings on and stuff like that. So, oh, David on the Moon, brother, what's up to the chat? I haven't seen you in a long time. It's really good to see you coming around these uh these uh these neck of the woods, brother. But he says, Hargeet, what style of game do you think Xbox is missing, if any? And I'm gonna let you answer that one first because he asked you. I
Yeah, I
want to
mean
say
that.
something, but I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah, I mean the obvious one is Asian games, right? They're definitely solidified on the Western RPGs, what shooters, fantasy games, all Western though, right? So ABK is gonna expand that Western catalog. They don't have much in the other side, and that's something they need to kind of expand into, right? So JRPGs is one they need to really kind of go after. There's also stuff they're doing which is really cool, going beyond just Japan and looking at Africa and Asia, with other countries. And this is something I've been kind of noticing as a lacking. There is, like, for instance, we visit Egypt all the time. Why isn't there an Egyptian studio that's making games? Right? Why aren't they telling their stories? Why are we telling their
Well,
stories?
why isn't there
Right?
a lot of support out in those areas that we like to
Yeah. And
represent?
yeah, and yeah, and then representation always ends up being in the US or in the Western countries. And like, no, 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 look, there are people living in the rest of the world. Let's go there. And I love that they're doing that. I love that they've put a focus on Africa, they put a focus on Asia. Let's go to other countries, right? You're starting to see stuff from China and Korea, and they look very Chinese and Korean. Those games are really of their culture, right? And that's what I want to see, like more representation of the rest of the world, so we don't just see the same thing. God of War, another European god, and so from Greek to the Norse. Like, okay, how many times have I seen this stuff? All right, like, can we try something different? Right? There's plenty of other, areas of the world that have all sorts of mythology. Why aren't we looking at that stuff? Right? So this is great. That's what I think they should expand on. Certainly go after Japan. They should definitely go after Japan, and maybe that's the next acquisition target is something in Japan. But I like the fact that they're expanding in other parts of the world. Let's bring their, not only is it good for us to get that stuff, it's good to attract those customers there to say, hey, this is your stuff is being sold to you, right? So these are your stories from your people. Come to our platform to play this, right? So I think that'd be awesome. So I think that's what they're lacking is really, it's very Western heavy. It's perfect for that. Like, they've covered everything, but we need to cover the Asian market and JRPGs and more non Western content. So hopefully that's where they go next. But that's what I see them lacking. A lot of people want synergies between PlayStation games and Xbox, and I actually see no reason to do that. Right? I don't expect Sony to make a Zelda. I don't need them to make a Zelda. They have plenty of good games that they make. It's their identity, and I don't need the Nintendo to start making God of War. I don't need that either. Nintendo makes fantastic games. Those games attract me to their platform, and I'm happy to play there, right? And Microsoft has its own stuff. As I said, like there's no Starfield on PlayStation. They don't have that, right? Maybe they'll go get somebody that can do that kind of thing, but they don't have that today. Xbox has given me that, right? That's cool. That's their identity. Let them do that. They have Halo. That's their identity, right? Let them have that, right? So I think that the idea that we need to have the equivalencies across these, I don't think so. I like the identities. That's cool, right? EA gives me certain types of games, Ubisoft, they give me certain types of games, et cetera, right? So I think I like that. Like the distinction is kind of cool. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said because it brings a lot of people together. It
Yeah.
brings, yeah, it brings more awareness to what's actually going on in different parts of the world and other people's histories instead of European,
Yeah.
European, 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 European,
Yeah.
like
Also,
you
it
were
was
just
over
saying.
here.
So, so yeah, I mean, I really like what you just said. In my opinion, I think what Xbox is missing style wise is just literally what PlayStation or what Nintendo has did is literally just your own style. Like we understand that Xbox has great multiplayer games. Cool. But what I want to see is something just like so new that it doesn't like really click at first. You know,
Me
right?
too.
Like yo, so not
Right? I
Pentiment,
mean,
damn it. I mean, Cozy would gladly disagree with me in the chat because she's loving that game so far. You sound like you really enjoy that game
I
or the
haven't
way
played it
it
yet, but
looks.
I think I will. I will definitely like. I'm pretty sure I'll like it.
I'm looking for more of, I guess what I'd like to see them do is just hit harder with the Western RPGs. Make them more vast, even further. Hopefully, I don't know where this is going at all, but you know that deal with Kojima, right? Where they have him like making a game using cloud like infrastructure
Mhm.
and
Yep.
whatnot. And what a lot of people have thought when they heard that is, oh, he's making a cloud game, a game that's going to be in like Xbox cloud gaming. And it's like, no,
No, no, no,
that's
no. It's a
not what that
cloud-enabled game.
means.
Yeah.
It means that they can work on the game while it's like actually running and whatnot. And they can use the cloud to move tools or move things that they want into the game and out of the game in real time and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if maybe, I mean, obviously that's not a Western RPG then because that's from Kojima, but maybe they're thinking about doing some sort of RPG kind of thing that's going to be so dang big that it needs to have some sort of cloud type thing. And I mean, if it's anything like how you traverse and talk and get to know people on Death Stranding, if it's anything like that, I'm in. I'm not sure if you ever played Death Stranding or
Not
if it
yet.
was,
It's in PC Game Pass, so I'm gonna definitely try it out. But I have
bro.
not played it yet.
Bro, that game, I thought it was just a walking sim, boring, whatnot. I played it for a couple hours. I was in a party chat though when I was playing it, and I didn't understand it. Dropped the game, said it was, boo boo and not for me and everything like that, right? And then I went back to it. It dropped onto because I own it for PlayStation, but I was I was actually in a party chat on PlayStation and wasn't playing and wasn't paying attention that much. But when I went onto my PC and played it on there because I wanted to test out my rig, right? Benchmark game, kind of like
Yeah.
kind of like Forza for you or whatnot. And I was just thinking of it like that, like, oh, this is just going to be a benchmark. I want to see how my PC runs it. I was getting like 115 frames a second. It was looking great. It got on my 3080 and whatnot, and I was like, yes, like this is phenomenal. And then like I'm like noticing that I'm actually liking this game when I'm not in a party chat and listening to it with everybody else. But the connections and stuff like that you can make with people, making
Yeah.
roads, learning the different parts of the story, doing these side quests and stuff like that, like it reminded me a lot of some of or I mean, it didn't remind me of like a Mass Effect like RPG at all because I mean there is no other direction you can take in the game. It's just the
Yeah.
story itself is fairly linear, but just the vastness and openness of it and how just big and it just felt like when you're traveling you were on a mission and you probably weren't getting out of your seat for a hour or two, right? It wasn't like a 20-30 minute quest. It was like, you might be doing this for a few hours.
Yeah.
The way that game grabbed me, like I cannot wait to see what Kojima has planned for Xbox because Xbox is in a state right now where they're very ambitious. Kojima stays ambitious.
Yeah.
So like this mixture
Yeah.
and then hearing the cloud infrastructure, like just this sounds like it could be just crazy big.
Yeah. 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 It could be interesting, right?
I'm
So
not sure. Are you into any of his games at all? Have you played any of them?
yeah. So I liked Metal Gear Solid 5. I did not like 4. There was too much movie. It was not enough game, too much movie. Um, and I haven't played Death Stranding, so I don't know beyond that, right? So I've tried a few of his games that are on Game Pass, um, and they're okay, but I haven't really played too much of it. So,
I'm
but
telling
yeah, I'll
you,
try Death Stranding and see what that's like.
it is gonna come off as boring at first. It will.
Hmm.
It will. It did that to me twice. It came off boring at first to me, but like I'd say it's one of those games that you got to give at least like 3-4 hours until you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, man, this is great. But like Persona, it took me 10 hours to like that game.
Wow. 10 hours. Holy crap.
That's a long time, right? I was really
Yep.
like, I think I'm gonna hate this. I think I'm gonna hate this for like 6 hours, and then something, and then an awkward part of the story happened, and I was like, huh, I'm kind of curious. And the curiosity is what got me into the game.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I'm not sure if you're into those games,
I
but
will definitely
Persona
play
seems pretty
Persona
dope.
5. Yeah. I mean, it's like a mid-90s meta, right? So it's got to be something good. So I will try it. What the heck, right? That's the
It's
beauty of
fun.
Game Pass, though. So you just try it. Like, what the heck, right?
Exactly. Exactly. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
All right. So last few questions. One of them's being if you were to revive two games
Hmm.
that are dead IPs right now, what are they?
I don't know if Max Payne is coming back, right? They're doing some
It
sort of
is.
like a remaster of the first, or is it a
Okay.
4?
You're wondering if they're making like a newer
A new one,
one.
right? So,
I
and this
don't
is the
know.
thing. Like when I look at that, it's like so many games are actually coming back, right? That it's hard to pick anyone because they figured out they do actually need to bring those back. Um, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. That would be an interesting one to bring. That was a Ninja Theory game, and but I don't know if they own the IP or who published that. Was it Bandai? Whoever published it. Right. I don't know if they own the IP or if Ninja Theory does, but that could be something Microsoft could kind of bring back if Ninja Theory wanted to do it, right? So that's an odd one that they could look at. Other ones that were interesting to me were I kind of liked Cameo. It was a launch game on the 360 that Rare did, and it kind of just fizzled, right? But games like that, and I don't know what Everwild's going to end up being, right? We don't know what that that will actually end up being. But something quirky like that, because that's what like Rare usually does. So something quirky like that would be kind of cool. So I don't know if that could come along. Outside of that, there are things like Kane and Lynch or maybe The Darkness, something like that. Like that could be
Kane
kind of cool.
and Lynch. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was a nice
You
co-op
reached
game,
back
right?
there. Man, that was a
Right?
great game.
Yeah. Well, they had two of them, right? I think they had two of
Mhm.
them.
Yeah, there's two.
So yeah, so something like that might be cool. Um, yeah, The Darkness would be the other one. That was kind of an interesting. They had two of those as well. I think it was kind of an interesting little game mechanic, right? So something like that. Um, but there are plenty of games that I was thinking about, but they're all like they actually are bringing them back. Like Splinter Cell is coming back, right? So like all the ones I was thinking about, like yeah, they are making that one. It's like, oh, cool. So I'm good. Elder Scrolls would be the other one that I'd want, but we know that's coming. Elder Scrolls 6 is coming. So
Fark, you said Spec Ops: The Line
Oh yeah, I
sequel.
remember that one. It was okay.
That
Yeah,
would be
yeah, it
insane.
was okay.
To this day, you cannot record that onto your DVR or whatnot. It won't let you. It's one of those games that it's just like, nah, this ain't allowed, bro. Like you can't do that. That game was freaking nuts. I'm not sure. Did you play that?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure. I
Freaking
finished it.
killing your own bros. Like that's insane, man. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, yeah. Interesting stuff. So now I got to ask you the dreaded question that I ask everybody, which is what frustrates you about gaming?
That's easy. It's the dev cycle. Like because we have this, the industry has been pushed to create more and more graphical fidelity, more and more animations, more and more whatever, right? So everything has to look great. Well, that has a cost, and that cost is time. Its cost is money, and I don't like it. So I don't care that, a game like God of War has every animation that's great and the grass looks good and the trees look I don't care. The grass and the trees are not what I'm playing. And unfortunately, because they do that, it takes forever for the games to come out. Like I was mentioning in the 360 gen, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, possibly one of the greatest trilogies, period. All in the same generation. That will never
Insane.
happen again. That will never happen again. If we get a Mass Effect 4, 5, and 6, it will take 15 to 20 years for that to finish. That's insanity. That's insanity, but that's where we are. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. I don't want to wait 20 years for a trilogy. I want to have 5 years for a trilogy. Why isn't that a reality? Right? But that's where we are because we have to have graphic fidelity, we have to have mocap, everything's got to look perfect. Oh my god, the grass doesn't look great. I don't care about the grass. Like seriously, why does that matter? But that's where we are. Right? And to me, I would much rather have Pentiment looking games because at least I get the game. How long did that take? A year? That's what I want. Like that's what I want to get to. I'm kind of sick of this graphical fidelity crap. I don't need it. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take how long? Starfield took 8 years. It's not even come out yet. 8 years will be next year. Hopefully it comes out next year. When's Elder Scrolls 6 going to come out? 2040? 2035? Like I'm sickened by this. By the time it comes out, is Todd like going to retire? Is God Howard going to be gone? Like this stuff needs to stop. Like I don't care about the graphical fidelity. Give me the games. So that's what I'm frustrated by. Right? We are going way too far, and graphical fidelity has to be there. Every animation has to be perfect, and all the games except indies take eternities to come out now, or it takes like 6,000 people, and I'm not kidding, like that many thousand people. Right? That's how Call of Duty comes out. Is they literally have 6 to 8,000 people working on a game. That's ludicrous. It's ludicrous, and still that takes 3 years. I don't like it. It's too much. It needs to slow down and come back to earth. We don't need to have games that look that ridiculously good. Maybe one game every generation can look that way. The rest do not need to look that way. But that's what we're doing, and that is what frustrates me the most. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I'm like, well, I might not even be around when this game comes out. So what the heck is going on, right? So that is what frustrates me about gaming.
That was perfectly put right there. Wow. I mean, it is true because I mean, as you said, we had all those games, like all the Mass Effects drop. We had all those Grand Theft Autos drop. We had,
Right?
I mean, there's plenty of different games for different consoles that you can talk about where they had sequel upon sequel within that same generation, but then you go one generation further and everything's just one game. And so like I want to know what drug Insomniac's on
Well,
because they're pumping games out left and
they
right
have
while
two
everybody else is
teams, right?
taking. Yeah,
They have
yeah.
two teams, right? And they started working on Ratchet and Clank as they were releasing Sunset, right? So Ratchet and Clank came out. Sunset Overdrive, what was that, 2014 or 15? 14, I
I
think.
think that was 14.
14. And then Spider-Man was 4 years later, right? So that's the team that did Spider-Man. And that was about where we had games for some of last generation. It was between 3 and 5 years in general. Now it's getting even longer because we're expecting more on the PS5 and series consoles, right? So that was pretty much normal. And then, they had Ratchet and Clank come out last year, right? Last year, right? So and those teams now are doing Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine,
Green.
right? So and those are going to be staggered. So 2018, you can hopefully expect in 5 years, 2023, they can get that game done. So 5 years to get Spider-Man 2, right? So that's a potential. I don't know, right? We'll see what happens, and whether it gets delayed or not. But that's generally what you have now: 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, right? Insomniac is doing it a little faster, which is great, but not every studio is doing that, right? So, and it just depends on how much graphical fidelity you want, how much you want the animations tweaked, how much you want every building to look perfect, right? The more you ask, the more it gets worse.
So speaking of these remasters and remakes, I gotta ask you, with some of these titles, what is a good timeline of like remaster or remaking a game? Because I have a feeling you're not gonna say, "Yo, The Last of Us was necessary."
No, it wasn't, right? Because
Do you think Dead Space is necessary?
it's
Because you just
far
got
enough
done
back
saying
in
like
the game.
graphic. You just got done saying this whole graphic thing is
Yeah,
kind of getting in the way, and I'm saying
yeah.
that game is pretty much the new the cool new thing about it is pretty much the graphics
Graphics, yeah, yeah,
and broken talk now.
yeah. Um, Look, so to me, the things that Microsoft did to sort of up-res when they do backwards compatibility, I think for the most part that's good enough. But when it comes to a game that's very old, if you wanted to like redo something from the 90s, okay, I can see that. It's starting to get to the point where that's a little old. The usual thing you run into is the control schemes were different back then, and they might need to modernize that to make it more playable today. Fair enough, I can see that, right? And then so you're changing the so like what would be a good example of something like that?
Like Siphon Filter, the new
Like
one of that
um
one is terrible for
yeah,
PlayStation.
the one that just Final Fantasy 7, right? That came out when was that mid to late 90s, right? Final Fantasy 7, and they're remaking that, right? And I'm sure there's quite a bit of an overhaul of the actual gameplay as well as the graphics, right? So that one makes sense, right? When you can, they're retelling the story. It's not just a one to one. They're retelling the story, but you can like change like the old game style to something more modern. Then
Right.
I'm
No more
okay with it.
turn based now. Now you're actually in the fight.
Exactly. So exactly, you're changing the whole game. If they do a KOTOR, even though that was not that old, but it's still old. It's not 20 years, right? If they redo KOTOR and say, hey, it's real time instead of turn based, okay, that's a cool thing to do, right? And maybe you can add more elements to it or whatever, right? But there's got to be enough of a reason. Otherwise, you just play the old game. It's there, right? So that's what I would say. So if it's gonna fundamentally change the game play loop because it's too old for people now to pick up and play, right? So if you're a 15-year-old and want to play that game and you're like, dude, the controls just are killing me, I can't do this, and so you won't engage, then it makes sense to go ahead and remake it, right? But if like come on, I mean, Last of Us, what did they change as far as the gameplay loop? Maybe they added a few elements, I don't know, but it just seems like that game was good. It was already good, right? It had already been remastered on the
How about Dead
PS4.
Space though?
So same thing. I don't know if it's necessary. People wanted it. I would think people would have rather had a Dead Space 4, right? They had 1, 2, and 3 to have the next iteration, right? Let's bring the series back up instead of just remastering the first. But they want to remaster it. Okay. Like, and maybe the point of remastering it is for that new team to be able to understand Dead Space, right? And so that way they can maybe then move on to a 4. Um, but yeah, I don't necessarily like the idea of remakes because it is taking a team away from doing something new. But if it makes sense because this game is so old, but it was good, and remaking it gives a new audience a chance to play it because they wouldn't engage with that control scheme or that game type, okay, I can see it then, right? It makes kind of sense there. But that's where I would limit it, right? Especially if it's backwards compatible, it's available. You should just play the game that's there. It's there now. Just play it, right? So I don't know.
All
What do you
right.
think?
Shoot. I mean, I like what you said right there because that whole Final Fantasy idea made sense. How like all the controls are different now. The way the game is even played is different now. Um, I know some of my friends are really excited for the new Dead Space, and I'm just like, I recently beat the first Dead Space, so I was way behind, right? But now that I beat it, I'm seeing the new one come out, and I'm like, I
Why?
don't
Right?
want to. I don't want to rehear that story. It's just like a lot of PlayStation games, like I was talking about earlier. Like the story can only go one direction.
Yeah.
The lines, they might change a little bit, but the end of the game is still the end of the game. And unless I can change the outcome of that, that I personally don't see myself dropping 50, 60, $70
Yeah.
for the exact same experience. I have no problem buying games or like rebuying a game or something like that, but not at full price.
Well,
I'm not
thankfully,
gonna.
that will eventually be Game Pass, right? Because it's part of EA, so you'll have it as part of Game Pass Ultimate. But yeah, no,
Ooh,
I hear
good
you.
thought right there.
Right? But I hear you.
I
It
didn't
is
even
kind of
think about that. That's perfect.
yeah. I'm okay with remasters, by the way. So if they're just up-resing, right? They're just like making it a little bit more modern look. Fair enough, right? But if you're actually spending the time to redo the game, well, I'd rather that studio go do something new, right? Like come up with something cool, even a sequel, right? But yeah, I hear you. I don't really have much interest in that. I have more interest in Callisto because at least that's something new,
Right.
right? It's like try
Right.
that.
I think it's funny that they're the ones that introduced us
Yep.
to Dead Space, and then they're coming out before Dead Space.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. Um,
Yeah.
but now from the main questions, the last one is what in gaming would be a dream come true
I've already
to
said it,
you?
and the dream is that we
The
stop doing the graphical
opposite.
fidelity. Yeah. Like set your target to 3 years for release and not like with 70,000 people. Like, a small team make the game and put out the game you want, right? I'm concerned that like Todd Howard has maybe 2 games left. And like I would rather him make 5 more games, but I don't think that's gonna happen just because of time. And this is the kind of stuff that we're running into. Even looking at the Nintendo side, those games used to come out all the time, like every couple of years, right? It's been 5 years. It's 2017, so to 2000 to 2023. It's 6 years before Tears of the Kingdom, right? It was March or something like that when Breath of the Wild came out. 2017 to 2023 May. 6 years, right? That's nuts for a Zelda game. That's nuts. But that's what it's taking, right? We haven't even heard of the next Mario, right? And that came out in fall of 2017. So every one of them is doing this, and I'm kind of disappointed. I would rather that go away. So that would be the dream. Is like that stops. Average cycle is 2 to 3 years. That would be
I
the
feel
awesome
like
thing to happen.
Nintendo's over there stacking up their games to make them come
That may
out
be true. That may
like
be true.
you know what I'm saying? Like they're seeing what PlayStation and Xbox is doing, and they're like, you know what? We're not going to sell the systems like them or whatnot. Like we're going to sell, our own way because we have our own type of, console. But we are going to maybe sell our games like them, like they do, like drop like maybe 4 huge games a year. But from a technological standpoint, I'm not sure if they need as much time
Yeah.
as like a
Yeah, I don't know
Bethesda
what's
would need.
taking so long. I don't know why they haven't released it, but maybe you're right. Maybe they're just, biding their time to say, hey, next year is so good and stacked for Xbox. There's some good games coming for PlayStation. We'll just put our game there. That's a possibility. I've also been thinking maybe they're just waiting for the next console, right? They've been running into chip shortage problems and they haven't been able to release their next console, and they're trying to have a whole bunch of games to start that generation for them. Um,
Man, if they came out with a new console, that'd be
I'd
insane.
love that. Dude, that'd be so cool.
I'd be
If they come up
stoked.
yeah, and say, hey, we're gonna release along with Tears of the Kingdom, here's the next Switch Pro 2, whatever you want to call it. That would be so cool. And we're gonna run Tears of the Kingdom 1440 60. That'd be
That would
awesome.
be the dream.
Right?
That would be the dream. But Hargeet, brother, thank you so much for
Yeah.
showing your face, showing showing your history and everything like that, being here and giving me your time and everything. I really appreciate this conversation. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully,
Thanks.
you had a good time as well.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. One last time, let everybody know where they can find you. Just in case some people don't know where you're at or whatnot. But go on ahead and shoot.
Yep. So on Xbox, it's H Chani. On Discord, it's the same thing, but I think there's some number of things, so you have to have like a link or I don't know, whatever it is. But and YouTube.com/Game on Daily, and then my channel is YouTube.com/ I guess it's at Hargeet Chani 1. And then check out the platform we have for Game on Daily at GameOnDaily.com. It's a nice news aggregation platform. So you can get your gaming news based on what you're looking for. It'll tailor it to you. So check it out.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you again for coming out here. Thanks everybody in the chat for showing up, hitting that like button. Hopefully you guys had the time to share this out. And if you guys are new to this to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this type of content, because I just like to talk to different gamers all around the world. And then on Fridays, I like to get a little messy with Cozy and Loke, which we were talking a little bit about, like the world and how everything's so European, like gaming wise, like with characters and whatever, and how sometimes we'll have video games that are based in Africa or like Egypt, as you were saying, Africa. But what's crazy is my buddy Loke, he has a PS5. He lives in Mozambique, Africa. He writes for IGN Africa as well. It's easier for him to send his PS5 in to like send it out to get fixed than it is for him to buy a game for his console. He can't put his credit card details into his console. He has to purchase vouchers, right?
Wow.
But the thing is the only place that they sell vouchers is in South Africa, which is like 6 or 8 or something like that, like 6-8 some hours away, right? So he has to reach out to somebody there and pay them to go shopping and get those. Hopefully they're even there, and then send him the codes and whatnot. So this last time he tried to get a game and he couldn't, get in contact with anybody there. He tries to use a third-party site that he used previously to purchase seafood and whatnot. His card got like blocked for whatever reason, and then he tried to do it at a different website and got scammed.
Wow.
So he has had it up to here with PlayStation, and he's just like, how dare you guys like have these games that have that are like somewhat based in the country or even third party wise, right? And how dare you guys come out here and sell to only a portion of our people, and the only portion that you're selling to is the one that has the most European in that in that country. So he's livid, and he let us all know last Friday how livid he was with Crazy Louie on our podcast there as well. It's
an
interesting.
underserved area, and it's a potential for Microsoft to swoop in if they just want to do it right. And here's the thing, from an infrastructure perspective, Microsoft literally is in every country because of Windows, because of Office. They're literally in every country, so they already do business everywhere. It's really just latching on. Xbox just has to latch on to that infrastructure and be able to take payments, be able to sell in that country, right? So I don't know how big of a logistical headache it is for them, but part of it's already done, right? They also sell to the governments, every freaking government. They literally are in every government, right? So it's a much easier challenge for them than it is for Sony. And I don't know why they don't take advantage of it. If they're all in on gaming, they really should focus on that, right? And just get this done. They should be able to sell easily in every country, be able to take payments in every country, sell cards in every country. Right?
Yeah, see, he has no problem. He has no problem putting his card details in his Xbox and
So it works.
and buying anything. The only thing that he doesn't get is Xbox rewards. He gets Microsoft rewards, but he doesn't get Xbox rewards. So that's a bummer to him. And he was bitching. He was like, dude, once this PlayStation 1 comes out rewards, which that ends up not being that great in my opinion. But he's like, once those PlayStation rewards come out, I'm switching over. And then he ended up seeing what the PlayStation rewards were, and he was like, this is ass. Like, these rewards suck. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well,
good feedback though for Microsoft, right? They should get it. They should put the Xbox rewards there.
Well, sure, but it's just like, dude, like I can't believe that as big as PlayStation is, that you cannot buy a game unless you live in a certain country in Africa. That to me is so damn disrespectful.
That is pretty nuts.
That's right? It's disrespectful in my opinion.
Yeah, because and this is the stuff that we just take for granted, right? Being in the US, we are so privileged. Everything comes here. We don't even think twice about it, right? Oh, they're gonna sell something. We can get it, right? That's not the case everywhere, right? And it's pretty nuts, right? It'd be nice to like it was just universal, but it's not. So, but yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, imagine saying Sony take my money and them saying no.
No, yeah. Logistically, insane. It can be a headache. I can get it. I get it. It's logistically a headache, but it would be nice for them to start expanding that. I assume Nintendo's probably the same. It's probably not that well.
He was talking about getting a Switch and trying it just because he's interested if Xbox is the only one holding his country of any value or not. Because that's the way he was feeling about it. He is like, I feel like you guys are treating us like fifth class citizens over here. I can't buy your stuff, but you can sell me a whole ass console, but I can't buy any games on
it. They do have Game Pass though, I assume.
Oh yeah. He has Game Pass. He has, does he like it? Like I said, he has. Oh yeah, I mean, he enjoys his Xbox. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I mean, he enjoys his Xbox. He has a Series X, and he has, like I said, he has a Series X, PS5. The only thing he doesn't have is a Switch. And yeah, he can't buy anything for his place. He has to hit me up or somebody else up to help him out with it, and it's just like I don't mind that he hits me up about it, but I'm just like, dude, you shouldn't have to do that.
I know, that is pretty nuts.
Like, you work for your money just like anybody else does. Like, why should I be the median? I don't want to be the median. You know?
Yeah. Hopefully, anyways, stuff gets ironed out over time. But yeah.
Just gotta hope that it gets fixed. But I'm sorry that I brought you down that road. I just had to, because I'm just trying to raise the awareness about it and whatnot, and just let everybody else know. Just because I mean, I'm gonna be honest. My channel isn't anything big or anything at all. It's not extravagant. So like when I get the chance to, let people know, especially those that talk to other people on other channels and whatnot, I gotta let them know, yo, the reality over here, the reality out east is this fool right here can't even buy a game on his own console, man. And that right there, I mean, we're talking about $70 prices. We're talking about, this game not coming to our platform or this or that. And it's just like, hold up a second. This motherfucker can't even play it.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anyways, thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you so much again, Hargeet, for being on. It was an excellent interview. I had a really good time. Thank you. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. But this is Ham Solo telling you to keep it gaming or keep it moving. Peace out. Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Gaming.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see, we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, Boosie. I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor, and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell back in the day, I'll be a lie if I say I did it. That shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see your swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready, you know the mission. I had to know you, I'm 10. I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me, I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my playaways because you pop in. A shooter always shoot a shot. With you by my side, I guarantee we'll reach the top. I put that on God and then I'll give you all that I got. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see